Oh. Eurydice is telling me that I had everything muted. So, all right. Thanks, Eurydice. Let's start again. I'm gonna have to edit that first part out. Try to mute myself so no one would hear me trying to fix up the settings here. I should always, I guess, double check my stream whether everything's going. But it seems to be going now. Pardon the mute. So back to what are we doing here? So this is what's called an event model. It describes everything here. So we have what essentially is a replacement for a README. We do have still what you would find in a README, such as setting things up. Manuel set up a Ruby environment for one of the steps in here. So you can see how to set up the Ruby and how to run their tests and how to run the app so that everything works. Here you have contributing to the project, so certain things you'd find in an EM. Over here we have some utils that I put in for updating text in here, which is kind of fun. Again, thanks to Eurydice for warning me about my mute button. Again, I haven't done a live stream in a few weeks now, so a little bit rusty. Anyway, utils for listing events in fish shell. This is kind of fun to, maybe I should do a bash and a ZSH and something else as well for these because people don't use fish shell. Let's get rid of these. Should turn off my notifications, of course. Do not disturb for 4 hours. Audio issue. Thanks again for that. Anyway, so as you can see, we can put in a whole bunch of stuff in here about, you know, what you would find in a README. We can reorganize it if we want. However, the main part is to understand what the application is doing. So it's kind of a documentation that is not boring like a wiki. It doesn't span many pages, so that you can find all the information in one place. So essentially, if someone was to explain a project to me, I would want to get a walkthrough, show me the screens, how the system works. This is essentially what an event model is. Plus, it gives you all of the data flows and tests and other things that I'll explain are down here. So for example, this application is an open conference setup. So it's a conference where people can choose the topics that they want to discuss. And of course, we are going to have that in Vancouver here in September 14th. So coming up pretty quick here in less than a month. So get your tickets. Down below, you can see the info for joining. And we'll actually use this application during that conference. So it gives me a bit of a time crunch to get this finished, which I needed to anyway. But summer has kind of taken a lot of other activities into scope, and the weather's been incredibly hot at times, so I haven't really had a good environment for doing a lot of this, and a lot of people are on vacation anyway. So anyway, back to this. We kind of say that at the top, which part of the workflow we're describing. So the setup is over here. That's kind of like your Epic in Jira if you're used to ticketing systems tracking your work. So all of this stuff here up to the end of this arrow is all of the workflow that you need to go through to set up your open spaces. I try to identify some other subtopics here. This is kind of where your individual Jira tickets would be as your subtasks for your Epic, if you're thinking in those ways. I don't use those terms anymore, but I know that most people are used to working in Jira and other issue trackers. And so we simply don't even use an issue tracker because we, as you can see, I track which parts have been done, which parts have not been done. This is a very interesting way of tracking projects. It's actually quite refreshing. So everyone's looking at this one blueprint to understand what's going on in the project, which parts have been implemented, which parts haven't yet. You could probably consider this being part of that because that's just the empty UI that you start off with. And here we have, so essentially it's a screencast that's kind of been noted down, if you were to walk through a screencast of how to use something. But then at the same time, you had like a developer in the showing you the back end, and what's happening underneath the covers is kind of below. So as you walk through your system, you're, as someone's using, as the user is, touching all the different buttons and putting information in, we're following along underneath to see what happens. And this is kind of the nicest way to specify systems. We've used these for this methodology for really large projects and very small projects. It's a much nicer way of working through this. So over here you can see that while we want to set up the open spaces, the naming part is taken care of here. Then we set the dates for when the event is going to happen. It involves a drop down for a calendar, which I haven't included here. I could add another few steps in here to show that there is a little button, a little calendar button on here where you can click that, and you don't have to type it in manually. So could probably make the documentation a little bit more accurate. And again, this is just me doing this by myself. Usually these types of things get taken care of in a team situation. So for example, if I was working on this part here, I would really want to make sure that it does have everything documented that I did, because then it would kind of show exactly what's happening. And if someone sees a calendar pop up in the application, they should be able to scroll through this and say, oh yeah, there's the pop up for the calendar. I know that this is what the system's doing right now. So here I think we have the addition of rooms being added. Some of the things I'm doing are in progress, so I haven't finished these, but I marked them in yellow. So part of the setup is adding the rooms for the conference. So you'll definitely like name them, or at least have like, if it's at a university or something, you'll have a room number there. You can add them to the inventory of rooms as you're preparing these things. Then you add the time slots. So, you probably want to have a schedule that you're going to have. So a matrix of like what room has what talks and things like that. And then you have the participation registration portal management. So this is kind of like where it gets interesting, because if you scroll here to the next part, you'll notice that we have the two swim lanes here for who the users, which users are doing what. So the administrators are providing a URL code that can be redeemed by the participants, right? And then you can have people suggesting the different topics. Let me zoom in here so you can see. So there's a topic you can enter, the type of facilitation. This is probably a drop down. I didn't draw it properly, but you can have different types of talks, where there's just a traditional talk where you have a presenter talking about something, or you can have like a fishbowl discussion where you have a panel of experts kind of, or participants kind of talking, or whoever wants to talk. I guess you could have a panel or a fishbowl. A fishbowl is more in a format where the participants are coming in with questions and sitting down on a chair, and then some people leave. And it's kind of a fun way to organize some discussions that allows a good proper churn of people, so there's not one person that's doing everything. So anyway, so this is the kind of real benefit of an event model, is really seeing how different users interact with the system, right? Because here you can see that you have these facilitations being added, but the current sessions can also be seen by the administrators as they're being added. So both participants and the administrators see this list. They can suggest more, etc. And then, of course, so this workflow is topic suggestion. You see, we've kind of finished this long setup with participant registration, portal management. I actually have to organize this a little bit. I think this stretches out a little bit further here. So let me just add that here. And this is still the setup. I think, yeah. I think, no, I think participant registrations here. I think the setup's kind of, no, I don't know. I guess I'll consider this part of the setup, the registration of participants. And then, I don't know why this is a little bit higher. Let me move this down here. Let's move that down so it's a little bit lower, and then just get this a little bit smaller here. Okay, Draw.io, we usually use in corporate environments, it's Miro that we use, but I'm trying to use something that's more open standards. I don't want to have open source things kind of sitting there in proprietary paid for services. So Draw.io is free. It's got a nice XML backend, so some of this drawing you can automate if you want. I've written a little script, as you saw before, for renaming things a little bit easier. I don't see there's a find replace, but I don't know how well it works. I've also added some like custom attributes in here, so some other interesting things behind the scenes in the way that this is stored in XML. Yeah, so that's kind of what event modeling is. So then there's voting for topics, schedule creation. And I think the last time that I did this, I was trying to show some of the automation, because I believe here we have this, we just arbitrarily picked things like making a unique identifier as a service that you'd integrate with. I kind of see anything that's provided by the system, even getting the current time, or or going to an external service, indeterminate, like for an interest rate lookup or something, or a payment portal. Those are all external integrations, and so they're going to have variable outputs, and so you want to separate them so that when you get something out of that, you then take that information as an input, and this sort of methodology allows you to not use mocks, etc. So this is one of those things that I talk about in my presentations about this, is all of your scenarios. For example, like, in what ways can you name something? How can this fail? What's allowed, what's not allowed? And some more complex things, all your business rules and validation rules. This is kind of like the happy path of what the system is intended to be used. But then, of course, you want to take care of the exceptions. And so this is where you have your test cases, your given when-thens. And here we can say, I have a little format for this that, given there's no previous events, and the first thing that I do is try to set the name, then it should set the name. There's no issues there. And then I want to show that if I already set the name, this is in the history, then I try to set the name to something else, it allows me to do that, right? And even if I change the name twice, it even allows me to change it a third time. So a developer looking at these three scenarios, which are denoted by these arrows here, they know that, okay, I'm allowed to change the name. However, I kind of want to show a no-op, and I think this is important in trading systems and other things where you kind of want to warn the user that if they're thinking that they changed something but they actually didn't. So if I already had a name of EM Open Spaces and I tried to change the name to the same thing, it would then give me an error saying, hey, this is you didn't really change something, you pressed the button. And we don't want to have like a silent overwrite in this case. We want to say that you think you were changing the name but you didn't, it was already set to that. So I made that rule up. I mean, it's whatever system you want to build, whatever it's valid. But over here, I just wanted to show kind of the format for how, below this step of setting the name and storing that name, how that can be, shown, and, all the different ways that it potentially fail, and how it might transform the data. Sometimes if you have some history of certain things, you may do some calculation, maybe, who knows? It depends on the particular workflow step you're working on, but the idea is that you show those permutations here. So that's one way of doing that. Then of course, we have this congratulations, you named your event, the confirmation page. Again, same kind of thing applies. You kind of want to show as more and more events accumulate in the system, you show how that view would do that. Now this could be implemented in many ways. This simply could be a function that just iterates on previous events. If the events are just in files, you read all the files and you read them in chronological order and based on your business rules for what you show. In this case, it's super easy. It is the last one wins kind of business rules. So whatever the last naming was, that's kind of like, what you'll see here. And then for the developers or whoever needs to understand those details, testers, whoever, they can see that with no events here, the name is blank. And then, we could easily change the business rule to say, if I double click here, I could say that, no name set, right? And we could even have like an error instead, no name set. But maybe that's the error. And over here, we can say your event name here, right? So if you want to be, a little bit explicit about like how your system is more friendly to its users and programmers and whoever, administrators, you can say that, with no events, and someone, gets this URL and goes to like this congratulations page, you kind of want to see that. Maybe, they got past a bad link or something, or they had a link in their history. They went to that URL for the congratulations, and it gives them that. So that could take care of that issue. And then, of course, as you have a history of setting the names, then it just shows that no matter how many times you've set the name, you're gonna see the name being changed. It also, I threw in another event here that's unrelated, and I just want to show that it doesn't affect what this does. So that also, if in doubt whether something would affect, your view on this page, you can throw in some things that are, have no effect, and you can show that. But the whole idea is this is kind of like a specification by example. All of these things are examples, and that's like the best way to specify systems is by example. Humans like to copy, what they see, and those are the best types of instructions anyone can get, right? You can read a manual, or you can like sit with someone that knows the system and they can walk you through it. That's a lot faster because you can kind of get a lot more information visually and kind of more interactively that way than reading walls of text. There's some people that want to read, which is fine, but I think most people kind of want to, this is the reason that video is so popular. Most tutorials now are on YouTube, and people kind of get walked through how to do stuff. You're watching this, right? So this is kind of that format for the describing the system. So I could easily add some notes here to say that in this case we're setting, the system's being set up. I'm free to annotate this with other things, but really what I want this to act as is a schematic for like how the system works, so that if say there's a bug somewhere in one of these screens, I can go to this part of the workflow and kind of really understand what it's trying to do, what to look for. This ends up being incredibly powerful. It's actually more powerful than unit tests for finding tricky bugs. Yeah, the unit tests catch regressions very quickly automatically, but the things you don't catch and there's unexpected things, this is a lot more helpful than unit tests. I would always trade this kind of thing for unit tests, especially if I am doing event sourcing and noting down these breadcrumb trails somewhere on the disk, which is a source of truth. I can kind of inspect that, and I can make very similar situations quite quickly in my dev environment without really needing to kind of align the planets and spin up databases and all sorts of things to get kind of what's in production duplicated where I am. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So again, there is a Discord channel that we have where we discuss this all the time. If you're interested in doing this kind of thing, below, I'd like to repeat again that we have the first conference in North America in Vancouver next month about this, and the whole workshop. If you want to learn this and event sourcing and this way of working, you can send your whole teams, go to it by yourself. If you're a student or financially challenged, just message me and find out how you can join. Again, and if there's a few people flying in already from Europe and the US, so I know a lot of people are investing heavily in this workshop. So if you do have some financial challenges, just let me know. I'm happy to help. I know it's been kind of a lot of people looking for work and things like that. Some companies letting people go because of the promise of AI or other excuses. So if you have some financial difficulties, I'm happy to help you to attend if you want to learn this way of working. So how does this look like in code if we do all these things, these blue boxes and these green boxes here? As we move along, let's take a look at some of these things that have been finished here. So like setting the date. I simply put everything in the app, JS. This is all JavaScript for now. I mean, you can implement it. Like we have a Ruby step that's implemented that Manuel did. So each step is quite nice that it can live on its own for the most part. Some of the tricky things you have to work around maybe is if you're sharing a menu and you have two implementations, you have to figure that out, see how you can coordinate, but at least you can identify those shared resources on the event model and coordinate with the developers on the other platform to kind of see that you kind of are in sync in terms of what the menu looks like, going from one of the pages hosted by them and one that's hosted by you. So I have this kind of, I try to keep this app.js in the implementation's chronological order. So, we start off with like the default here, which we go to the create space part. And so this is, looking back at our event model, this is kind of like, where we start is the naming, and this then setting dates and adding rooms. So let's see how that implementation happens here. So we have the create space where we name it, right? Space, and then of course, if it's successful, we go to the confirmation page, right? And so then the next part is this, right? So I should probably add, a space here just so we can kind of have these areas. Okay, this is the first page that we saw there and how we take care of that. This is the second one. And of course, it includes the implementation of the green box. So the green box is here. And in the case of naming, we have that here, where it doesn't really have much. Actually, where is this? Okay, I think I should have this up above. Instead of the confirmation page. The confirmation page is later, so I think I should move this down. I kind of want to keep this chronological order here, right? So that looks a lot better, and I think this belongs with the creation of handle name open space command. CD is command. This is the convention I'm using, and state view is kind of the green box, like what is the state of this particular piece of information here that we want to project. So yeah, we start off with the creation of the spaces. Then we have the confirmation here of that, and of course the green box that's here, and of course the views are in here. So I'm using the handlebar syntax for these. So if you want to see, these handlebars, these squiggly ones are kind of like where you embed the data, the dynamic data. So essentially, I mean, I could inline those to really make this a one file, but maybe that's a interesting way of doing things, because yeah, if I show this return events, where's that? That's the handle here. So yeah, if I do this, yes, you have to handle that space confirmation. So there's the render, res render. I'm not sure if there's an override in this. What am I using here? What's it called? There it is, Express, right? And Express handlebars, right? So Express is kind of there's this views thing here as well in the view engine. I'm not sure if there's an override for, I could probably ask ChatGPT, because there would be kind of I mean, these pages are pretty silly, small, and simple. So, instead of having to jump to a different file, I kind of want to follow the implementation. It goes against like put everything in its own file. I'm kind of battling this idea that everything has to be its own file. But for these things, I think as an instructional kind of project, it would be nicer to just see everything right there. So yeah, it might be kind of a pain in the butt to work with editing that HTML, maybe. So it's definitely not, it's not what you would do in a real job environment, but I kind of don't want to have people jump around from file to file to learn these concepts, because this creation of the space is kind of all done here, right? That whole step that we have, oops, let me close this guy. That whole step here, writing the file, the CUI and all this, that's kind of all here. When we go to the create space URL and what happens when we hit the button, all that logic is essentially here. We do have some utility functions here, because we're just writing things to this to the events here, this events collection. Sorry, not this events collection, the event store here. So as we run the application, you can see I ran it just before here. So this is universal time, or the standard time. So it's tomorrow already. So the 17th, still 16th of August here in Vancouver. But all these files get written down in JSON, and essentially what these are these yellow events that get stored along the way as you go through the workflow. So you can find them there. And then yeah, there's the confirmation step here, which is there's two functions here. There's actually not two functions, where there's this this call to make the application respond to the get request, and that it's gonna basically create this, and then it's going to call this open space name state view, which is just a function which looks through all the events and just picks the last one, which is just this filtering and sorting and taking the last one. And of course, if it doesn't have one, it'll have the space hasn't been created yet kind of thing, which is more in line with what I adjusted to here, right? So you can see that this particular step here for the congratulations page, after you named your event, is all this code here. These 4 lines really of code, which is that's pretty simple, displaying this and making sure that you're only reading the last one. That's all the code that's there. So it's fairly formulaic, right? And that's a good thing, because you want to have things that are easy to follow, in terms of like, if someone new comes to this and they see that every step is kind of implemented in the same way, it's a lot easier for them to get going and just look at how the previous things got done and go, oh, okay, this is what we do. So we try to make sure that things aren't brand new puzzles. When you get to a new step, you really have really good guardrails. I tweeted earlier about guardrails and actually being on railroad tracks. Like, some frameworks are extremely opinionated, or some abstractions are quite opinionated, where they force you to do something one way. So this it kind of allows you to do anything you want within each green box and within each blue box within some parameters, but then you kind of also have to guarantee that you're not going to screw up anyone else's work. So this is where, each of these green boxes is a different take on the same data, which is a different model. It's a little bit better than, well, it's a lot better actually. Multiple models are a lot better than single models. So it's kind of as you can see, it kind of allows you, if I look at all of this, it kind of allows me to play in my own world, right? I'm really not distracted by anything that happened before what's happening after. And I think we get into this problem with a lot of application development, is that we always have to look at where the tentacles kind of reach out and what they attach to. And it's always kind of like, walking on eggshells to not blow over the house of cards because everything's somehow connected to the other thing. Here we have it spelled out that, we're not really affecting anything else. Or if we are, you have it like a line joining it, right? You'll see later that we have these certain events, they'll come up and they'll join like two things in this case, right? So we'll get to that. This is where you can look out for that coupling and really understand why that information here, for example, is used in two different places, and then act accordingly. But for the most part, as long as you understand why that's happening, you are pretty much free to just play around within your own little world. The scope is well defined, and you can kind of know when you're done quite clearly. So I like to use these kind of simple examples for here. But we want to get into some automation, this automation when something is done for you by the computer, such as creating a unique identifier. I mean, you could easily replace this with an administrator having to type in a unique identifier to make it a manual process. A lot of automation stuff that happens with computers is a lot easier to understand when we kind of say, well, let's not have the computer do it. Let's kind of have this mechanical Turk type of approach, so that you can not get scared away by technology, especially when you're explaining this to business. These gears you could imagine as a robot, someone replacing a human being behind the computer. The robot is still looking at a screen of things to kind of understand, and then accordingly input some values into fields and enter and hit a button. So any automation that we have should always be humanized. This is kind of how we had information systems before computers, and it still is a good tool to have to think about how we go through processing data and moving it forward and changing it bit by bit. So that's kind of an overview of where we got, and it's been a month, so I got to find out which part I'm working on here. And I believe I wanted to jump into this unique identifier part. Let me see. So I had some of these things in progress for adding rooms, but I think there's a lot of discussion of like, okay, well, how do you do this? Because there is this idea of a to-do list that identifiers processors kind of look at, and there's two common ways that I would implement a processor. One way is kind of inline, where the minute that you store some new information, and then you can, in the same process, update the view that's, any views that are going to be using that information. That's one way to get rid of the eventual consistency problem that you hear about in event sourcing all the time. And of course, you can't use it all the time, but for most simple things, you can just do it inline and fix that. And the processor, of course, can be something that's also kicked off in a synchronous manner right after you've updated the green box, so it can go and do whatever it needs in here and continue to be synchronous until you finally finish the whole path. So you can imagine this whole path all the way through these two events getting stored being actually a synchronous single web request. I mean, you could implement it that way. The second way is to introduce some async kind of processing here, where maybe the web request finishes here at this green box, so we have everything in the same web request, and it updates this after it stores the event successfully, and then it returns. And then here, maybe we rely on a cron job to just keep looking at this every 5 seconds or whatever. And once it looks at this, and this might be a to-do list. To generate, right? I know this is tiny, you probably can't read it. I'll zoom in a second here. Right, so to-do list is a very important concept. It's a very simple way to explain how automation happens in most systems. In fact, that's how we implement things. Although I keep using the example of packets being sent over the over the network from the network card on your computer. There is a buffer in memory where the packets to be sent are there, and it happens in milliseconds, like incredibly fast. But nevertheless, there's this idea that whatever you're going to send over the wire on your network, for an instant, they're kind of sitting there in memory and in a buffer somewhere. So you can always explain everything. And this applies for those fast processes like sending packets across the network, but it can also be the same concept when you're arranging a vacation and you have 5 steps. There's a to-do list of like, I need to book a flight, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to rent a car, I need to do whatever. Those are little things, little tasks that can be added in a to-do list. And then your processors may be automations, or they may actually be humans. Maybe it's someone at a travel agency looking at a screen of what to do next, and they manually say that this is done, here's a confirmation number for your flight, blah blah blah. It shouldn't matter, right? So this is a real easy way to start to understand how you may automate a lot of things. And a lot of systems are entirely back end, and you have a whole bunch of gears for saying, this thing is getting kicked off to the next processor, and so on and so forth. And the way you can add that as a as a human kind of element to it is that all of these systems, even if they're back end, are meant for humans to be administer them, to be used by humans. So you always, one of the things I failed to mention is that event modeling really focuses on the UI and the UX perspective. So even for back-end things like these identifiers, I would and probably should have another actor here. See, we have the conference organizer here and we have a participant. But we could also have, someone that's control copy, paste this. We could easily add an admin, right? So sysadmin. So if we have a sysadmin, we could. By the way, let me know if you have any questions. Just hop onto Discord or any of the other channels that we have. I think it's hooked up to YouTube and others. If you just respond to the tweet or whatever, it should pop up on my chat. So anyway, so if back to the point, how do I make something that's entirely on the back end have something that's more human facing? Well, we can add either logs or actual dashboards. So for example, if we really cared about how these unique identifiers are getting generated, maybe there's some non-trivial stuff where you want to embed, I don't know, the location or some other interesting things into your identifier. It's not just a number. Part of it is, that's why it's automated. Let's say we need to have a closer look on that, or maybe there's a lot of these things happening and we need to see if there's a backlog of them. Like, for example, are these getting backed up? Is this not actually kicking off fast enough? Is there a problem in the back end? Usually we have dashboards for that kind of stuff so that sysadmins can kind of see what's going on. And so let's do that. Let's make a little experiment here to add this. I'm going to zoom out quite far. So one of the interesting problems, not problems, but one of the things that needs to be kind of done, and a lot of people are working on this. As you can see, I'm using a freeform drawing program, which works up to a point. It becomes a little tedious to move stuff around. So, for example, if I want to add this extra room for this little extra person that we added, in other words, we need another swim lane for the UI that they're going to see, I have to do something like this, highlight all that, and then I need to move all that down. And notice that I didn't pick some of these things, unfortunately, because I didn't get the right level. So I have to be again, careful. See, look at that. All of these things here are too high up already. So I want to make sure to move these down. And the trick is to get them all within here. I think other things like Miro, as long as the selection touches, by default, it'll select it. Whereas here in Draw.io, it won't. It'll only select the things you've fully enveloped in the selector. I think if you press Control Shift or something in Miro, you can simulate the same behavior, but I forget what it is. By default, it doesn't. So now I can move these down a little bit, which should make them a little bit more grabbable by this zoomed out view, because I want to make more room here. So let's, did I grab everything? I think so. I can zoom in. And then if I, okay, so I think I am moving everything down. That should give me enough room for another set of screens, right? So now I have some room for these screens. I shouldn't have moved him. I can move the little actor back up here. Okay. So that's that. So now we have more room. Notice, of course, that our selectors here are not encapsulating everything, right? So now we have to do the tedious chore of this. So some automation for this would obviously be nice, and this is where the tooling by Bobby and all these other people out there, Martin in Germany is doing a lot in terms of, you know, adding these capabilities to Miro itself. So a lot of people are working on some really good tooling to look at that. It won't even allow me to do that. I think I have to group them. Ugh. So yeah, each of these drawing things has a has a pro and con. They have opinions of how things should be done. I hope that's, I want to, can I lock it to, oh my goodness, okay, I don't want to lock it like that. Okay. It's a very odd behavior. Okay, anyway, I think that sort of did it. Okay, these ones got dragged down a little bit better than these ones. These ones went too far. I have to ungroup. Okay, and then I don't want, these ones got moved correctly. I think they're just slightly different sizes. That's why they got, just unselect these. And then go back here. And now I have to group these. And now I can move these up. And I think that should be good. Okay, yeah, so... Look at that, they got stretched downwards too, so I'm just going to move them up a bit. Oh good, they're still grouped, so I can move them up a bit. And I think that's correct. That's mostly correct. All right. Yeah, I'd like to maybe add some more tools to Draw.io, maybe the plugin for VS Code, so we could have some specific event modeling helpers in here. So what did this accomplish? Well, we added another swim lane for our sysadmin, and why I wanted to make that point is that here, as this stuff is going on with this unique identifier guy, we can say that, all right, part of our requirements, just going to copy this for no good reason, really. I should make a brand new one. It shouldn't have that menu, so maybe I'll just copy this just to have the equal size in. It doesn't even really need to be as big. And here we will basically say that we have IDs to generate, and then here we might have a counter. Total is 0, and then IDs generated, and here we have just empty. And then, so if part of our specification is to, show how we control the system, not just the organizers, but also the admins that are going to be maybe deploying this to somewhere for a conference, we want these to also be specified. Of course, they don't have to be this, they don't have to be this big to show this simple information. So just shrink them down a bit. And so at this point, we notice that we have and of course, this guy is not giving me the default that I want, which is simple, 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 curved. Okay, curved is nice. And we can be very specific about this by showing that, this really has nothing in it before. And, this is empty. And if it's empty, we have that shown here. And let's just join it to here. Right, so it shows this if there's nothing. Once this happens, we have this total here, just 1 that would generate. And then, of course, we copy this and we put that here. And, conference IDs, I can just put that here, that once that's generated, we can show that this shows there's nothing else to generate. And here we have, some of that info. Maybe we just have this with like a little plus for inspection, but maybe that's all they need on this screen. They don't want to actually see the rest of the info, so we'll just do, oops, why is that doing that? Okay, let's select that again. Hopefully copy works this time. All right, so there. So that you have a list of things you generated. So an admin can see something that's stuck, right? They see that it's empty. They see that there's one to generate, but it hasn't. So, maybe this processor fell over. But you can show that, these systems are built for humans, and yeah, I should probably copy the style from this guy here. So copy style and paste style. Interesting. So that has that thing, and this has that thing. So I'm guessing this is it. I guess it still has a little curve there. That's interesting. Connect arrows, custom. All right, whatever. Hold on. I'm just curious. Line jumps, style. Where does it say it's good? This doesn't look like it's. Oh, there it is, rounded. Okay, so sharp or curved. We just have rounded corners. Okay. Okay, that's cool. So, yeah, copy the style, and then here we can paste the style. But it doesn't. Why does it not choose this? So that was part of the style. Okay. Anyway, there we go. So it looks a little bit more. Yeah, one more. paste style, and then select this here. Okay, so now we have, so, this would be, this would be another set of, another requirement for this processor, that it also would have a window to how it's working for the third type of user that we have, which is the system administrator. So, yeah, we could probably continue with that. Anyway, no questions so far. I didn't see anything in chat. It is a Friday in the middle of summer, so only the true nerds are out and about watching this kind of stuff. If you want to see more information about this and start to look at some code, we can get into that next. So let's do some coding for this part. I am using work trees here. So when I start a new, what's called a slice here, I start a new branch, and then I make a work tree out of that branch. I was going to make edits to the event model, this blueprint here, in the branches themselves, but I decided against that, especially since this stuff here may be kind of a pain in the butt for merges. I don't want to be merging XML files. I don't know about you, but especially if it's got an ID for each element you add, and those are growing in size, it's going to be a pain to renumber them. I think it's forgiving if you have matched IDs that are duplicates, and I think if you save it again, it'll reorder them, but probably more trouble than it's worth with some of the conflicts that you might get. I've been able to work through them since I've been kind of looking at this internally, but I kind of don't want to put that on as extra overhead for people working. So my general rule is that in the main branch, that's where you change your event model, and that should be very easy for people to see, kind of like what's, if they see something in progress, they should be able to find a branch called add room, right? And another branch called rooms SV or state view, right? To show where the work, where that work is getting tracked. And as soon as that's done, obviously it gets merged back in. And there should be no changes to the event model.drawio file. So after they've merged it, they should be able to just edit the draw.io file saying that it's now done, like, change it from yellow to green to show that it's finished. Yeah, other than that, we could also have some traditional ways of looking at the progress of a project like this, kind of identifying how many of these green and blue boxes that are unique do we have that are not done yet, like they're not within any of these rectangles that says done or in progress. And that could be like your, the stuff that's in the backlog that's not done. And you can make a burn down chart of this. And we've done this for some, some projects before where people required their traditional tooling to be used, like Jira or whatever. And they wanted to kind of have the output of the information from this model into something that they were already using, right? They're not going to be able to switch entire teams to use this right away. They're going to go into some larger organizations that have an investment in Jira and other things. So a good bridge to that better world is to just kind of have this information repeated in Jira. And of course, not only that, but if you're doing this work in Git anyway, and if I make a branch called something that matches this to-do conference ID, I should be able to automate and draw a rectangle around this that says my name and that it's in progress. Like, why not? That could be automated. There's so much of this that can be automated. Also, just if you make a tool to draw this stuff, then all these things are just become hooks to automate to automate Git instead. So, for example, if you had a tool where you could select this area just by clicking, and it would highlight this rectangle, maybe a div if it's an HTML based one, and it'll pop up. Buttons showed up at that point saying, start work. The backend could look at the fact that this happened, and it would create a branch for you and all that stuff, and you could do all these things in there, and then continuously integrate that branch for you as you coded. So yeah, lots of opportunity. I think event modeling has quite a potential to impact the industry in a very positive way by getting rid of so much unnecessary cruft that we're all carrying, so many unnecessary processes and things like that. If you can just go to a one place, go to a single place to take care of all those things, you're so far ahead. You're not needing to integrate 10 different tools to show progress or to plan or design or anything else like that. So anyway, blah blah blah, let's get into some code. What do I have here? Work request unique ID. Okay, so we have that. Let's just see on the command line what we have here. So this is main, and I want to just update that git status. Of course, we have the changes that we did here. I want to save this. Oops, I don't want to close it. One of the things I really want to do is make sure I'm not editing the event model in the branch up there. If you're not familiar with work trees, it's kind of a really good addition that Git added. So let's just do git add a. By the way, git add a is better than git add dot, simply because dot will only add the changes you have in that directory. So if I was in, let's say, commands here, maybe I git add dot, but I actually had a different file out there, right? Notice there's a little +1 here. I do a git add dot, nothing happened, because this is one folder above. However, git add -a will add it. So, right. So that's important for you to remember. Always use git add -a. Git is tracking this, is meant to track the state of the whole project. It's like a snapshot of the entire work tree. So when you start using things like git add dot, you may be by accident excluding some things, and you got a whole mess of separate commits for them, or you have to rewrite history. You get it yourself into a lot of trouble. So just as a rule of thumb, learn to use git -A, if just in case. It just saves extra headaches. So git status. So even though I'm in commands, I can do everything that I want to the entire thing. So git commit m added. I guess I added the sysadmin view for automation of ID generation. Okay, so that's up there, and that's in main. And I'm wondering what. So we have a SV. Why does SC? It's supposed to be state view. What did I call it that? There must be a reason why I called that this thing. So get log all one-line graph. Oh, in process of making first process. Oh, okay. And I have this stupid thing, Aider. I was trying to use Aider because was allowing multiple files to be done. Oh. Yeah, Ubi just posted something, so I'm not sure what that is. Do I dare click on what he posted? I have to press control to go there. I don't know where that is now. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. TIL. What's TIL? Alright. I'll wait for Yurtis to answer. He said that this is not readable. Can I make this bigger? Today I learned. Oh, okay. Okay, so I guess the chat's more readable now, right? If I do it. Okay. Today I learned. Okay, I don't know what. I'm not going to go to that link. Sorry, here it is. At least, I don't know if it actually popped up on my other browser. I had like too many things opened up. I don't think. Yeah, it didn't open. Make it a little bit bigger and make it a little bit wider. Maybe. All good. It's just learned. Just sharing what I learned. Something extremely valuable today. Okay, is it anything to do with what I said? Oh, dash A. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the problem. Is people take the shortcuts and they don't. I don't know if people know, but I've spent a crap ton of time on Git and teaching people Git. Quite a lot. I answered over 1,000 questions on Stack Overflow within 2 years as a way of teaching myself Git. So the best way you learn something is to teach. So this is the result of spending, getting 10,000 hours of flight time in something. So yeah, I'm quite at home with Git. I know that it's not the most user-friendly command line thing, but whatever. I think IDEs today give you what you need in terms of committing and managing branches. So, yeah, there's yeah. If you want to know anything about Git, go ahead and ask. I'm happy. So I'm gonna try. If you're actually on right now, so I'm gonna try and see if I can. You're welcome. But yeah, this will help you for sure if you've had issues with just the pain in the ass that Git can be, and like, oh, why is that file not there, right? It's it's that's one of the reasons that you could see. I don't know if I can. I'm gonna try and make this chat bigger somehow here. I'm just farting around with what they give me here. Okay, maybe that, and then if you type more, it shouldn't. I don't think it'll resize that to be bigger. So I can make this like way thinner. Oops, way thinner, and do that, and then. Sorry, everyone. Just trying to improve your experience here. Let's hide that chat thing. Move, and then maybe move this up a bit. Okay, there. Wider. You want this wider? I think this is kind of nice. It kind of fits in there. The reason I made this not as wide, so that I didn't make this as wide so that it wouldn't interrupt the code and stuff on this side. But I don't know. Maybe I can change it again. I noticed that my last streams my head was in the way, and so I made this area with code a little bit smaller and kind of put myself in the corner, and it gave me like a little banner thing area here where I can have some things going, some messages. I guess we have some spammers in here. I don't know who that is, but whatever. At one point, I'll get some admins in here to clean up spammers. Just hit F5 to get rid of that message. There we go. Yeah, Ubi, I don't know. Seriously, is that too small to read? You want it wider, but then we're not going to see more code. So let's try it. Fine, I'll make this smaller. And now I can make this wider. Is that good? Looks kind of gross. What do you think? Make the event modeling a little bigger too. Hello world. What do you think? Even wider? Like, should I make smaller words? Larger font, smaller font? Is that gonna be, like, if a lot of people type, is that gonna just disappear? Smaller and wider. Oh, okay. I can just get, is that better? Is that better? Okay, you tell me. Why so blurry? It's just the stupid theme that I picked from how are you setting it up? Oh, so Restream is the thing that I use that allows me to stream this to both YouTube and all the other places like Twitter. So it has it kind of grabs all the chats from YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, anywhere, and it puts them in there. But then you can, yeah, I am using OBS. But then what I'm doing is I'm adding another window. Oops, now my head's in the way of this. Hold on. There. Maybe I can put my noggin behind the writing. Let's see. Chat goes above webcam. Okay, see? Cool. I can kind of be behind the chat. Okay, nice. No, I'm using OBS, and then all of these, like the Adaptec thing here that's flying across is just a web page that I made. It's actually hosted on adaptecgroup.com under banner something or other. I just want like a permanent place for this kind of stuff, so I just made it in HTML plus Canvas and all that in like 5 minutes. I can just edit that very quickly and republish for a new announcement. This event modeling thing up here is just our standard logo, and I just in OBS I just put an image, so it's not just doing a screen like a window capture. But this thing down here is a window capture, the banner down at the bottom. Obviously, this is my webcam here, so I can move that anywhere. And then the chat window, you're not chatting, so I can't show you. I'll just hit F5 on here, and that'll show the default thing. But so basically what I do is I stream from OBS to Restream, and Restream for like $20 a month will restream to, like I said, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, and I don't know, 20 others if you care, if you want. So that's kind of how I do it. But it also aggregates the chats from all those platforms. So it listens to what the chats are on YouTube. It listens to what the chat is on Twitch, and then it provides a pop-out window of its own like aggregation of chats, and if I respond in that chat, um it'll actually send it out to all of the channels, I think. So, but if I'm on a stream, I'm just gonna talk. I'm not gonna type anything. So, anyway, is that clear, Eurydice? I mean, I can kind of draw it. I'll do like Primogen does and just do a new thing, right? Oops, what did I do? Oh, zoom. Oh, thanks. The hell did I do? I hit Control Z and it does some weird stuff. Okay, there. Eraser. Okay. So yeah, Eurydice, I'll just draw this for you quickly. I guess the Primogen knows how to do this all the time. So, okay, so what happens is that I have my computer here, which runs OBS. And then it goes to these servers on Restream. That's a nice server. That's Restream. I should get a proper tablet connected to Restream. I can't even write it. Okay, I gotta get a pen. This is ridiculous. I can't draw with a mouse. I'll just draw arrows and talk about what it is. Maybe use initials. So yeah, so this is Restream, RS, Restream. So the signal goes here, and then this guy restreams to YouTube, Twitch, I guess it's called X, not that, and where else? LinkedIn, LI. But then there's like chats on each of these, or some of these. So there's a chat here. So that actually goes over here. And it actually will go through to also like the Restream website on my computer. Sorry, RS. So that will reach this. But then if I respond to the chat, right, this is the chat, it'll send those chats back to each of these things as well. So the chats will go into whoever has a chat enabled on here. I'm not sure if it does, like it's weird because I think replies on Twitter come in as like chat messages, but that's kind of like what happens. So this thing's like worth $20. I think it's money well spent. I don't want to. I could set all this up manually by doing all the APIs for all the chats. Run a separate server myself to re-encode the videos, the video streams, and it would be a fun project, I guess, for people that are doing a lot of this stuff where they want to resell this themselves. They could do it. But anyway, that's a little bit of like behind the scenes. It's really low budget stuff that I'm doing. I'm not a YouTuber, so I just want to share event modeling stuff, and it just happens that it's easier to share that on LinkedIn and other places. So via video, so people can join in and look and watch. So anyway, I'll get rid of GIMP. And back to this. I gotta discard the changes to that. Okay. So I think we lost you. You're not typing anymore. But if you have any more questions, let me know. So yeah, git-a, as we just talked about. So don't do git at dot. Oh, you are here. Okay, good. So yeah, I guess, I mean, I might show that. I guess since we talked about Stack Overflow, I can log in. Continue as Adam. Is that going to give me... Just trying to log in off screen here. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so... that's my Stack Overflow. So I've been... Let's make this bigger. Quiet. So I'm at 128. I don't know if this is adjusted now. I don't know. I think I had more than this. I don't know if they've changed their algorithms. Maybe there's like bots in there. Yeah, so I have almost 1,200 answers on here. Again, it's been like a long time ago, 13 years ago that I did this. But that's how I learned Git, was through answering things here. So there's like almost 17 million people that have read my answers. There's I guess there's a few things that are interesting. I think I was only one of 3 people for version control with a gold badge. I don't know if this... Where can I find the badges? I don't know. They changed this interface, or just forgot how to use it? Because I actually don't go on here anymore. But these answers still like collect reputation, I guess, because like especially hard things like submodules, people hate, and so they usually Google stuff about submodules. So a lot of my stuff ends up. Oh yeah, version control. There we go. So the version control... Oh, there's 4 people now. Okay, so there's like this Marina Liu was the latest one on the 23rd. This guy's crazy. Vonsi is insane. I don't know if he does anything else except answer questions about not just Git, honestly, but a lot of his stuff is Git. So he, on October 2010, got the gold version control badge. He was the first one. And then I got it on in 2013. And then another person got it in 2019. And then 2023, another person got it. So there's like 4 of us in the world that have version control gold badges, just kind of cool. I don't know if there's like, what does this point thing mean? I forget what this means, but there's like a ranking, a world ranking of people as well. I think I was up there because of the Git stuff too. I don't know where that is. Let's see. Sorry, Gyrudos, I didn't see if I... let me see if I can... Okay, let's see if... where's this reputation? There's like... where's votes, answers? I know where there's a rank. Visited last seen, member, okay, profile, reputation, stats. Yeah, so anyway, my Git score is 11k, and then version control 8k. But I thought there was like... There's definitely like a thing that shows like where you are in the world compared to all others. I just don't know where that is. I used to know. Posts edited, helpful tags, votes cast. Where could it be? It used to be, is it like just all users? Reputation. Reputation. GitHub, I don't know. I know some of these things like I used to be able to click on the reputation and it would go to a global list of people, but it's not. Now users, I don't know, all, and yeah, where's the ranking? So editors, moderators, new users. Maybe they got rid of it so that people don't compete. But I do remember it being here. Saves profile, votes, questions, tags, all actions, accounts, votes, cast, articles. Huh. View all badges. Nope. Reputation. Nope. It's definitely. Okay, I'm really going down a rabbit hole, but it's kind of not not good because I remember this being here on stats, like those stats about badges, top tags, top posts. That's too bad. I knew that it was maybe I can Google it. Stack Overflow. Where do I see myself? Global ranking. Huh. Oh, well, I don't want that. There was a link on Stack Overflow itself. Stack Exchange. John Skeet's crazy. Number 1 all time. Stack Overflow. All time? Ah, there it is. Type to find users. Okay. ADYMITRUK. All time. Stack Overflow. Okay. 50 per page. Yeah, these guys are crazy. 500 or whatever. 300. Oh, yeah, I'm way down. I'm in 100 something. And it stops there at 400. Oh, boo. Okay, so this didn't used to do that. Top 400 users. So basically what I need to do is Stack Overflow my standing, my ranking. I guess it's rank. What is my ranking? Your current revision Stack Overflow is 155. You can't see your ranking because users with less than 200 revisions not like. Really? I remember seeing myself here. That's odd. Okay, so definitely they changed this. can't I find myself? That's odd. Oh, this. Okay. I guess I was the 1.8 million user on Stack Overflow. Yeah. All. Well, I'm just not here anymore. Maybe because I haven't been active. Maybe I have to say something. Why don't I edit something? What is this? Reopen votes. Close votes. And how to roll back to previous commits. I don't know what that is. Can I do something? You need, whatever, do a cheap edit just to bring myself up. See if that changed it. Nope. Very weird. Well, that's disappointing. Users. Now am I in here? Yeah, there I am. But okay. I guess it shows all atoms. That's strange. All right, definitely down a rabbit hole, but if I find it, I'll let you know. Oh, reputation 726. I don't know what that 726 means. Is that placement? 726th in the world? Probably. I think it was 800 something at one point when I did see this. So maybe they just put it in here now. All right. Whatever. I guess I've been streaming for a bit now. Let's get through some code and then call it a day. And tomorrow I'll be back with more. What time is it now? Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Really late. Thanks for staying up, Yurtis. Maybe I should take a break here. Origin provide. What am I here on? So quit cd dot cd underscore this thing. What is this? Request unique ID sc. Yeah, coding's fun when you have others to code along with in the background, even if you're doing something else. That's pretty fun. I really want to do that in just plain JavaScript too. I just want a like El Cheapo version that is totally client embedded cheap ass JavaScript that throws divs around and changes CSS. Nothing fun in terms of like languages, just disgusting, gross, hack together JavaScript, but minimal. Oh, do you want the public advice or private advice? Here it is. Gift me 15 minutes today. Public? Yeah, sure. Do you want to like jump on stream? That would be kind of cool. Okay. I wonder if I'm gonna have a problem with my headphones again, but let's try it. Let's try it. Duh, I feel pretty stupid tonight. Very slow moving. I haven't done like any streaming for so long. I feel so dumb. Let me see if I can jump into that. Okay, I'm going to take this off screen and do a Google Meet, I guess. Google Meet, got it. Why can't I sign in? Oh, come on. When am I signed out? Hold on, Yurtis. I'll get you in on the stream. Get an A power assistant, said you. Sure, whatever. Ah, come on. Why is it doing this? Okay, Google Meet. New meeting. There we go. Create a meeting room. Start an instant meeting. All right. I want to double check though that I'm gonna double check that we're getting audio. Here it is. Let's see. Hey, man. I want to see if you actually are like if you can hear if people can hear you on the stream.
I don't think so, man. I don't think
Okay, hold on. Let me see. I think I just have to say on OBS to include the audio. And then audio mixer, desktop audio. There we go. Okay.
Hello?
Oh, still not going. Desktop audio.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, you're in my mic. So
What?
the mic is picking up your voice.
Guys, you're Linux. I don't get it.
No, it's like I don't want the audio for my desktop coming in unless I want it to. It's been no problem. I've done like the fuck stupid. I screwed up something with this camera. I swear I hit it with my hand. It's something is up with this camera. You're very dark. I guess it's nighttime where you are. I'm just gonna turn up the audio and maybe just the speaker will pick up. I think the speaker will like be loud enough so that people get the gist. But I'll try and repeat what you're saying.
Hello? Let me see.
You getting a feedback?
No.
No? Say something.
Say something, I'm giving up on you.
Did it work? It shows OBS picking up.
I can hear myself.
Yeah, because it shows OBS picking up. I'm just letting it play to the speakers. I usually don't have the as I said, again, it's like this is all OBS crap that I haven't touched in a month. So it's like nothing to do with Linux, man. At least I'm not on Windows. Okay. So anyway,
yeah, well, I need to troll you with Linux, you know. That's a given.
Hey, man, 4.5% globally now. Isn't that awesome? That's
Actually,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
I'm really happy with that, to be honest.
That's a lot of people, man. 4.5 of the like global desktop usage. That's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah. Let me see. I want to make sure people can see you, so I'm gonna add another. Where the hell did you go? Oh, here you are. Here you are. I wanna make sure. Okay. So I want to duplicate this because I don't want people to see the like meeting link and bug us. You know what I mean? So I made another desktop in OBS. No, you know what I had during COVID? It was so annoying when the stupid Zoom ambushes were happening because Zoom had like no security. Remember that? I had like I think a few times that happened to me, and some idiots and like teenagers got in. That's too funny. Okay, that's actually funny. It was funny. Hold on here. Okay, so desktop 2. Okay, there's like a thing where you can do a monitor on OBS. Where's the monitor view? Filters, properties, entire monitor. There's like where's that view? Studio mode, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's 2. Okay, cool. And then I can transition. Desktop 2. That's the program, and my preview is desktop 2. Okay, cool. So I can now add you into desktop 2. So add window capture. I'm gonna call this guest camera. Okay. Guest camera and meet. Okay, cool. You're there. Okay. Now I can shrink the view so it doesn't show the URL. It's fun. I actually enjoy these streams. You know, it's like it's a good way to like keep in contact with people that are so far away. By the way, you're in the you're gonna be at the conference and workshop. I just haven't updated stuff.
No, I wish, man. I'm the next month. I'm going to Spain with my girlfriend.
What? Priorities, man. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, for real. I mean, it would be a good opportunity for me to go with her too. I've never been there to begin with. So
well, maybe you can change your flight plans.
Yeah, well, we already.
There you are. Look at that. You're live.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see it. Oh, hell yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I like your stuff on the background. Did you have that last time we talked? I don't know. Looks new behind you. Looks nice.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. I don't remember it.
I mean, the last time we talked, I was in some random house.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay,
so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I know you already mentioned today you don't like tools that are too opinionated that will not. But I'm gonna ask you about an opinionated tool.
Okay.
I'm gonna share in chat there. Maybe just copy paste that somewhere.
What is it?
So what is that? That's just a product buffer package setup. It's commented out, but yeah, put that somewhere in your board maybe. So here's what I'm trying to do.
Hold on, I gotta find what you're doing here. I have too many windows open.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Like, you know what the funny thing is? Like, I'm trying not to like show like passwords and stuff, right? As I'm.
Mm-hmm. Don't have to on your computer.
No, I don't. I usually don't. But once like the paste, I hit the wrong thing at the wrong time, and I had to like delete the stream. Like just like delete the damn thing. Go offline. Go to YouTube. Delete it. Go here. Delete it. It's like, god damn it. Change password, right? Reset passwords everywhere. Where'd you paste it? In beer?
I pasted it in
My rocket chat? Oh
I
yeah.
can put it there. I can put it there as well.
Oh yeah.
I'm pasting all over the place.
All right.
Oh my god! Hopefully my dog is not asking me to go.
Package business domain stream version.
Okay, so here's the concept. I'm trying to work in a serverless style of computing for
Okay.
command handler decided, right? The command handler that
Yeah.
only take pure inputs, no side effects, but using WebAssembly. So basically, you upload the package in the WebAssembly, and I do the whole shebang of like reading from the event store, applying the events, running the command handler, saving to event store, and stuff like that. So I'm trying to find
Uh-huh.
at the platform level how many nested dots that you see there scoping
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can get away with that is good enough for most businesses out there. Something in between enterprise is going to ask for way too many, and I don't care about that, and something that is way too little that even past basic things you don't work, right?
Right.
So what I have thus far there are basically two levels of really generic things, which is the business, I don't know, Google API, the domain, I don't know, Google S3 or whatever, Paco AWS S3, S3 will be a domain. And then the stream, which, at that point is just whatever even source stream you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then the version of the stream itself, because you may have two ways to do version. If you do it at a message level, I don't care because the message itself is the one who have the version.
Hmm.
If you do it at the stream level, well, you can still keep the same stream, but maybe V2. Just because you broke change so drastically that you're better off just deprecating the whole stream itself and start over. So those are the levels that I have thus far.
Okay, this kind of like reminds me of like Java stuff, like com dot google dot auth dot user.
Right. Yes. And which this is kind of like related to product buffer. So in a sense, that is the namespace of and that entity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if to say identity, but it's the prefix of the event. The last dot event type, right? That's the last one in the pattern.
Uh-huh.
If you want to add a dot event name or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so that's what I meant. I check it out Java and recommendation from Product Buffer, and people say, hey, don't do the Java stuff of adding the .com in it or the reverse DNS or whatever the fuck, right? Because most of the time, they're not that meaningful, and if you have migration with now what, right? So don't cluster that.
Yeah, so like one of the things that happens is with event versioning is that like it's part of the stream name. At least in our implementation, it ends up being part of the stream name. So we have like user registered, and when that changes, we inevitably just have user registered underscore v2, right? We don't even have like we don't bother with v1 for anything. It's just by default it's v1. So I don't know if you have 4 spaces, is there a better use of the 4th space? If you can cram the version in
well,
to the stream name?
Add a new section at
Oh,
the end.
sorry,
Oh,
sorry. No, no. I would say event instead of version because what do you want with the stream name? Are you talking about like aggregates for anything to do with like order canceled, order started, order item added?
okay. So
Like
that
where would they
the
be?
right. So the that will be the event type all the way to the end.
So it wouldn't be anywhere here. Like, so why do you have a version here then? Are you not talking about versioning the actual events?
Yeah, okay. After the version, do the exact same bracket and put event type there.
I'll
And
just use event because I'm assuming it's event type.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that event.
Okay.
There.
But then, so what's the point of having a version on the stream?
Okay, hear me out, right? And this is this that dimension is because let's say I have bank account deposits is the domain and bank account is the stream, right?
Okay,
I
so I'm
I
gonna write
got
it
the
out
bank
here.
right. I
So
got the bank account stream itself, like with
bank
the whole
account.
of the data that is there so bad that I want to start over.
So
Like
what would
those
the stream be in the account? Transfers or balance? What would it be? Activity? Or is account thing? Am I missing something here?
well add at the beginning I check that banking that bank account.
So the business name dot banking,
Yeah.
and
That
then an
bank
account is
account
the
as a one
stream.
word. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then
Then V1.
yeah, this. But then what's this here?
Then that and then the any event name you want to come up with.
So okay, so you're gonna have okay.
My dog wants to go on. Exactly. Okay. So you exactly. So you have that right. If you want to do versioning at the event level, just do whatever the heck you want. V2, V3 at the end, V4, right? Like there's no extra
Okay.
that. It's just a name, right? It
Okay,
doesn't
so
really
so
matter.
then so what is this for?
Right. Okay. So that one is for the screen itself. So I have a module that is about bank account screen from the context of like as part of the subdomain, like it's just a screen. But I got it so wrong that I need to duplicate the entire screen ledger and cut it off and create a secondary one. Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Yeah. All right. We're waiting for Eurydice to come back. Yeah. Give us a second here. He's got to take care of the puppy and take him out for a washroom break, I'm guessing. Whoop. Oh, he's back. That was quick.
All right, I'm back.
That was quick, man.
No,
Your dog is quick.
Outside. Yeah. Okay, so that version is for the stream itself.
Yeah. Okay. So why do you want to version the stream?
Because I may want to keep the same subdomain if you want to see it that way. I don't want to call it subdomain because it's not about domain, it's just stream. I want to keep the exact same stream naming. It's just that I got it so wrong that I have to give it a second version.
Okay.
But I don't want to be like if banking account was a good name for that stream, I don't want to be coming up with something random. Or encode the version inside the name in itself, which I can, but most of the time, protobuffer itself, like you just put
Is this like a protobuf requirement to have this organized
no,
this way?
no. It's no. It's not required by protobuffer, and that's why like even if it is, no, it's not required by protobuffer. I can do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
by convention, yes, product buffer likes to put at the end of the package name because technically the last dot, which is the event, is not part of the package name. It's only until the V1
Mm-hmm.
because the end is just a message type in product buffer.
Right. Okay.
Uh,
Like we used
so
proto buffs at Pay by Phone, and I barely touched on it. This is like back in 2014, 2013, so like over 10 years ago. So I don't remember.
yeah, but don't get caught up too much in product buffer. The good thing is
Okay.
that product buffer don't care, and my intent is not like about product buffer, but like just like keeping that dimension there or not. And if I don't, what should I do, right?
Uh huh.
Uh, yeah, because I can say remove that version and whatever you could call it account v1,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So at
Yeah.
that point, it's like you're still encoding the exact same value, and
Yeah. I get it.
what do I gain by just removing that dot when I actually can just follow product buffer and then I get like nice tokenization of the version.
I mean, I guess this is. I kind of don't worry about this stuff enough. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think like where we would have done this, and like in the last 10 years, I can't remember where we had this an issue with like a whole stream.
It happened. It happened to me, by the way.
Did
Like
they?
at the banking system, we got the balances streamed so wrong that it was better just to say, you know what, don't even bother with versioning the events and correcting things. Just call it balance v2 and reapply the shit.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. So like you're basically doing a rename. Like it's almost a different concept. You went away again. Um, but I think what Yurtis is getting onto is that, yeah, when you make a mistake, event sourcing makes it very easy to correct yourself, especially when you've got the mindset of like longevity of information, that you can just dump your dumb idea and go with a different abstraction. Because what you've done, if you're doing event sourcing, what you inadvertently have done is you've got an audit trail of all inputs to your system. And so you're totally free to re-implement that in any way and continue with a different abstraction from whatever point you want. So sure, if you want to call it V2, totally cool. I think a more relatable example for people to kind of learn from this would be, um, let's say that I have the idea of, well, I don't want to go with the traditional bank transfer stuff, but let's say I have like the idea that an order is also the manifest for shipping, right? I have it all in one. So anything that happens with an order, including like getting it on the truck or whatever, I just know this order is getting fulfilled, and I get on with my business and I'm running this system, and the orders get picked up, the trucks deliver the orders, and I get into a situation where I have some clients that have orders that are bigger than can fit on one truck. So now I have to have this idea of a manifest where I have to split an order into manifests for delivery and routing. And I'm going, oh shit, I have like my abstraction is dumb. I didn't foresee this in my business. I have to refactor to do something better. So now I have to have all the shipping stuff gouged out of the idea of an order. I might have a status there, whether it's been delivered or not overall, but that's about it. But now the details of like delivering the order are in a concept called a manifest. So manifest, created, manifest item added, uh, routing added to manifest, split identifier or sub IDs for the order, or it might have its own order. Each manifest might have its own order. Not each manifest has its own driver. Maybe I'm using the word manifest. We've done logistics, but I'm not an expert in logistics, just out of the air. But what happens at that point is that you can stop treating orders the old way at some point. Like maybe when there was a big order that we couldn't handle with our stupid abstraction before, we were forced to split it into two orders. It's like, oh, sorry, customer, you're gonna have to have two orders because your order's too big to deliver with one truck. And they're like, oh, you guys suck, but whatever, fine, I'll pay for two separate orders. From then on, we're like, okay, we got to fix this. So we'll have one big order, and then we'll have manifests that will track properly. So there's a point in time that you can go to like your V2. But in this case, there's actually a whole new concept that we gouged out of this, mistake that we made. Like we thought the system was going to be simple, but now we're like, yeah, some orders don't fit on a truck, and they're going to be like received not at the same time. You're going to have like a whole fulfillment thing to check off whether each truck arrived, that your order has been fulfilled. So and of course that changes the initial order, because now you have fewer fields on the order. Like you don't have like a truck ID on there, because there could be multiple trucks. It's a separate thing now. It's a business capability. You've totally misunderstood how your business is going to evolve, and now you're shipping stuff that's quite big. Maybe you had a furniture store and you don't know that people are going to be buying so many sofas, so you were just like getting little pickup trucks. But now these orders are like way too big to handle by one truck each. Or maybe you just want, maybe it's the opposite. It's the economies of scale. You thought it was going to be one truck per order, but now you got lots of people ordering small stuff, so you want to have one truck delivering multiple orders. I don't know, whatever. You made a mistake in an assumption of how your business was, or maybe your business changed entirely in terms of the details. From you might have decided that you're getting way more profit from larger orders, and so you're going to have to make that not the exception but like the main way of doing business. So you're going to have a core change in your abstraction. So in this case, yeah, I mean, my question back to you then, in this example of like, all right, I have orders and V1, but now what happens when I now have orders and manifests as a next version? Do I now have orders V2 and manifest V1?
Yeah, at that point is like the event belong completely to the brand new domain that you decide. So you're gonna have duplicate of events at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's no longer like the naming kind of you keep it, but the meaning of them have a completely different context.
Okay.
Right. So it will be order V2,
and manifest V1. So okay,
manifest without version,
yeah. Okay, V1. Or V1. I mean, in this case, we're doing V1 because you're just putting it as part of your naming convention. Right. That's fine. So okay, so here's a second question then. Okay, as you change your business to deal with this realization that you're dealing with manifests and multiple truck orders, what are you gonna do for the cutover? Like, for example, at some point you're going to have a quarterly report with certain pieces of data. You're going to have to aggregate the information from orders V1, orders V2, and manifest V1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the processor have to understand history. Like, I don't, like, the answer for me there is, especially I don't believe in upcasting, whatever, I don't care. In terms of how some people do it. Like, for me, it's like, you have to deal with history. That's actually how it happens. So you're gonna have to have a processor that needs to understand those two types of events, because they're technically two types. One come from the V1 and the other come from the V2.
Oh, that's an interesting topic. I'm going to talk to you about that after. Continue.
Yeah, so like that means that you have to project, the past into the things you have. So you have to deal with two events.
Okay.
And begin, like I used to like do upcasting. Nowadays, I don't even want to do that. I want the processor to literally understand the history of the version. And from my perspective, and again, I'm open to be completely wrong. It's like, look, hiding that away from the processor is just trying to hide history that is so trivial to add an extra pattern matching or whatever, right? Entry point, but see there the what happened to the system and understand it, that hiding away so much domain knowledge just because you could put the translation layer, whatever. So I don't even believe on that anymore. And that was the thing I used to do. So now I'd rather to see the processor there, the different types, V1, V2. If you're gonna find a common code path to share because you normalize it into your data, fine, whatever. But processors, you do that because I want to gain as much loose couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
from processors as possible. Like I want to treat processor as a unique human being that I don't get to say we are sharing the same heart or shit like that. Right? Like if literally can take it in isolation
Yeah.
as it is, and it should work uh, with very minimal infra and things like that, and like you know, adding convenient things, but not too convenient because now I have to explain developers, oh, you forgot that there was a cutscene, you forgot that in this version and the cutscene in this and that context. I don't want none of that. Just simple things of understanding history. That's all.
So it's weird that you say that because after 10 years, um, man, don't you live in Florida? Aren't you like going to be hot there? What's the
Dude,
matter with you?
I have
Are
air
you
conditioning like
sick? Are you
68. I live in Florida, but I put air conditioning only in
like, why are you
68.
putting on a fur coat in Florida? Anyway, air conditioning, I see. You should turn it off. Anyway, save power. Um, all right, enough with the jokes. But in like in our I guess we're on our 10th year of doing this over so many projects, and we always use upcasters because thought is from a different angle. We don't want to have the tremendous burden of trying to always have to think of how the business was run last year. Like, we want to do that work once. It's like, okay, my stupid example of like asking for date of birth now when you register, whereas before you didn't. So, like, what's the default there? Like, do I pollute all of my business logic forever because in the first year we never asked for the date of birth when people registered,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't want that. I want to move that logic out of my core domain because that's no longer my domain. As far as I'm concerned, my domain right now, if I was to like get rid of all my customers and like start the business fresh and start new signups, I would never ever have to worry about the fact that I never asked for a date of birth because I'd be asking for date of birth from that point on. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to free myself from the burden of a business that is no longer around to run my current business. Like, I'm dragging history, like I'm dragging my past sins or misunderstandings or a business that no longer exists into my current concerns. So I don't want to have any code to deal with that. I do have code, and like you're right, I do have code in the upcaster where I insert a null for date of birth if I ever am replaying or looking at an event from like 2 years ago. I do. And I may have implemented, you know, a workaround where, I don't create a new event for providing date of birth. Maybe I did. That's a valid response to this, but maybe I just issue a brand new, like the same event but v2 with the date of birth when they went to the screen to update their profile, and that's my way of dealing with it as well.
Okay. So, okay, few comments there. First of all, when I say I don't want a password, I'm talking about at the platform infra underneath layer that people plug into absolutely everything. That is like you get this, yes or yes, right? Remember about you don't wanting abstractions that enforce it too much?
Yeah,
I don't want a password to be enforced at the infrastructure level.
but it's not
That
infrastructure. We consider that business logic, and it's a
no
mapping, like
no
from one
I
business to business concept A to business concept B. Like, there,
oh,
it's not infrastructure. I wouldn't consider it infrastructure. I mean, it runs all the time for these things, but I
that,
wouldn't
that
consider
that
it
right there.
infrastructure.
Maybe it's a matter of me expressing it wrong, right? What it means to me, because like probably it's like your experience is fundamentally different than me, right? I use some frameworks, so I'm not being precise. So yes, there are some frameworks that I use that I don't want to avoid it, that it run it for you, you like it or not. And
Mm-hmm.
even when it's part of your domain, what happen when then that happen is a developer don't see it that way. Although I understand where you're coming from, right? But because some when I say infra or platform or whatever, it's like a framework,
Yeah.
right? The framework forces you to think in the framework way, and then you never connect the dots, right? That is actually part of the domain. So that's what I'm trying to say. Now, if you want to have something that as part of your processor there is a component that do the mapping, yeah, sure, fine. And if you want to share between two different modules, sure, fine as well. I really don't care, right? But like at that point, you're making a direct decision. But me, from the framework perspective, I don't want to do. You run and you wrap your thing into this upcasting stuff we want. So, so it's more like a that framework theme platform that I am thinking. And the second thing is,
Yeah, I guess there's this quasi level of like in between infrastructure and your platform and your there's this idea that maybe isn't expressed well enough in the community yet. I think it belongs not as a layer, because when you say infrastructure and platform, it implies the onion architecture, the layered architecture. At what point are you
no,
in business? That's why it's more it's actually a vertical slice introduction. Like if I was to model like on an event modeling, like the thing behind here, if I was to show um an upcasting happening, I think I would show it as a vertical step, extra vertical step that just happened for like a subscription here, or like if it was in a specification here. I would, if I was to show it somewhere here, that's where I would put it on the time scale, because it's something that happens maybe in real time when I get an older event. I mean, I try not to model those things. Like they're a once done and done. I want to keep the event model as clean as possible and as minimal as possible. So I actually want to deal with only the V2. I don't want a V1 hanging around here.
right. Which
But if I
I look.
was to show it, like I'm trying to think of where I would put it, right? And I think
No,
it
no,
would
no,
be
don't
it would
show it. I don't want to show it. No, no, here,
no,
like,
just to explain the concept. I think
mhm.
I don't want to show it in any like of our clients' event models, but I want to show it maybe to make someone understand. Maybe it's something we do in the workshop, is kind of go through this and kind of say, okay, let's take your argument and dissect it and say, like, I get where you're coming from. You want to embody the shape of the information and the reason you got it at that point in time. So you want that projection to be aware of, hey man, we used to grab registrations without the date of birth, and you just got to realize that. I don't want to assume that just because I got an upcaster spitting out something, I'm now ignorant of the fact that when this person registered, it looks like they registered with, you know, with a date of birth, and that's wrong because they didn't. Like
Exactly. I don't want to
they
hide it
didn't
in
go
the
they
work.
didn't go
Yeah,
through they didn't go through a registration page and just leave the date of birth blank,
right.
right? Because that would imply that there was an invariant that failed, but it still, because it produced an event when it wasn't supposed to, because someone left out a required field.
And I want to have conversation about that, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to have conversation about the default because of the caster, or the transformation because of the caster. Because if you hide that away, like, a lot of people would never understand what happened with that piece of information, and we can just throw it away. There isn't. I think it's important enough to show it because there are concerns about it. And if I'm dealing with that info, God forbid, and something changed in my outcasting or whatever, right? And I never sold that, and now I'm like, oh shit, I forgot that the pastor behaved this way. That's why the username have a, I
Yeah,
don't know, a
and
percentage at the beginning just to for
I agree with you for some of these things. I'm really, the reason I like event sourcing is that it has that breadcrumb trail of how you got somewhere. And one of the things that I can't stand about state-based type of programming is that in order to find out why things happened, you're at the mercy of digging out old source code always. Like, I'm at the mercy of getting an old backup of the database. I'm at the mercy of getting the exact version from source control. Like, I have all this crap to kind of align the planets to really put myself at that point in time. It's incredibly heavy, right? And so I think what you're getting to is that next level of accountability and accounting built into event sourcing. Whereas a lot of times, one thing that I always wanted to do and always try to do is to have the actual command that's responsible for the event be part of the event. Like, here's the event, but I also have some metadata called the command that caused it in there too. I mean, that would solve your problem because you know that an upcaster happened because the event data has, you have a command that's obviously an older version, which doesn't give you a date of birth. The event, however, is an upcast, so you have that. Now, I mean, what about just having the information? Like, I mean, why not have both? Why not in your upcasters provide the chain of events? With data deduplication, it wouldn't be such a burden. It would be accurate. I mean, you could even have a referential integrity of saying this is upcast from whatever, and if your view cared, it could always look at that old event.
Right, but you see, answering that question, Adam, is exactly what I want to see in the model. And hear me on this one. One thing I keep telling people is that in my entire career, I never found a methodology. Methodology, that means I don't need Adam to be in the room, neither Georgie, because we are experts.
Mm-hmm.
In my entire career, I never found a methodology in order to figure out what I need to do from my professional perspective. But even modeling, because it didn't hide away the information and put emphasis on it, is a thing that allows me to see the information that we produce together and be able to ask questions. What happened here? What happened there?
Mhm.
When I see a processor, integration, the here and there. If somebody hide that away from me in even model, I don't think it's helping. I want to know that it's a V1. I want to know
Okay.
that there is a domain of casting because I want to see and say, hey, what are the concerns here? Oh, there are default values. Cool. What are the default values and what concerns they are?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you transform into some other value. Cool. How the transformation works? Why it works that way, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So every time somebody hides history, I get it, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it's helping, especially like from the maturity perspective of having a conversation. Now, at the code level, sure, make it a V2, but at the point I got there, I already understood the concern. Now, if you have 20 V2, V3, V4, V5, that's exactly why I put the second dimension of the string versions. Like, look, you messed it up so bad that you're better off cutting off an entire string, deprecate those data, and you can put it in cold storage so when you need it. But like migrate
you raised
set up really bad.
You raised two good points. The first is that why do you need a canonical way of upcasting? Because now all projections have to share this. So that's a coupling.
Right.
Maybe one projection wants to interpret event V1 one way, where another one wants to interpret that missing date of birth another way.
Mm-hmm.
So the second, I forgot what the second point was. It was really important though, because this is a really good case for why I would want to do this myself. It'll come to me. But anyway, I think
Well,
just
having methodology and conversation to see the data and see what the
no, I agree with that. I mean, so
just trying to see if it clicks again.
so the third one which I came up with now is just the fact that you are not introducing another concept, which is the upcasting process. You are now using the standard projection logic, which means that, hey, you have to subscribe to all of that. And actually, you could probably very, very easily organize in the code, you're handling V1, then you're handling V2, and you can, like, side by side totally see how you're upcasting and how you're treating those two different pieces. And you can also have some nice functions that are named appropriately to encapsulate, how, like, what the reasoning is behind that, right? So I think you're onto something. I think it's really good. I mean, we've blatantly just wanted to have smaller scope for ourselves, and maybe it's something that we can improve and just say, you know what, let's get rid of upcasting. I like these challenges to, we've challenged the idea of an aggregate. We've challenged the idea of these things. I like the idea that we're challenging upcasters, because you're right, there is loss there. It's not that it's loss, it's that you have that stupid feeling of, I need to go back to the source code at this point in time to find out what it was and what we were thinking. Whereas what you're doing is you're encoding. And I mentioned the reason why we have the upcasters is to keep the domain logic as small as possible. And maybe the code becomes less and less important as we add more time between the time that we were using V1 and today's date. So that code gets used less and less as the system continues to be used. And I think that's okay, because we're in event sourcing, we're already using open close principle quite heavily. We're really just adding code. We're not really needing to manage, refactoring the code and all of that as much. Like, if it works, it works. You leave it, you don't touch it, which is really good. It's that whole immutability, functional programming attitude, which I think is a core strength. So maybe the idea that we're blowing up the domain to be too big because we're leaving in the upcasters. The idea that 2 years ago we had to deal with users with no date of birth specified at registration time. Who the fuck cares? I don't think that's that big deal. And honestly, most of the logic that we've dealt with upcasters has been default values, right? And maybe a unit conversion in some point of sale and inventory systems. Those are the ones that kind of stand out in my head, but they're not like, to think that it's like super hard business logic that we're dragging in, that hasn't really been the case. So, given our 10 years of experience, I'm like, yeah, I totally have no problem in having an event handler on that projection that has to listen to V1 and another one that listens to V2. I'm totally happy with it. Yeah, I think you've convinced me. That's really good.
If you want to share code, so be it. But
No, I don't like it. I don't like sharing code. Like, this is
me neither.
This
I was
is
about to say that's the ultimate goal that I have right now with
Yeah.
my software is the ultimate cohesion without coupling that I can achieve. That is honestly a balance between messing it up because they're honestly encoded domain thing that I shouldn't, and things are so trivial that it's literally just a default value or a transformation that is side effect free, like literally just like right there, here.
Mhm.
And I'm doing the same in the command handler. By the way, the way I'm writing command handler, there's no such a thing as aggregate. To
Yeah.
begin with,
Good.
there's no such a thing as shared stream or whatever. A command handler have its own state machine data structure and its own command, and the command handler have to evolve the data structure for itself. I'm not even share that aggregate or stream or however you want to call it between command handlers.
Yeah.
Because what I noticed is that inside the evolve, it's just basic copy this here, copy this over there. And when I move the cohesion of that state through the command handler that is making the decision, I see in my state only the data that is encoded for that command handler to make its decision. I don't need to get caught up in question of like, why is this key here? Because some other command handler that is sharing this state is gonna put it there eventually. None of that went. All of that went away. When I'm discovering the code base, it's like all we're doing is just basic computation. That if they grant enough complexity because they're honestly mathematical things to encode, fine. Have another file that says go through this function that I can share between those two states. But
Yeah.
most of the time, you don't even get there. It's just put this data here, calculate Boolean yes or no.
Yeah.
And the cohesion is so strong to the command handler that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I already done in the command handler. You're like the ultimate cohesion. And if you want to share code, so be it. But as a senior, I will tell you, the more you do that, what's the value?
Yeah.
What is it tangential value? Like, show me that you're actually messing it up that you need it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
handler, I want to choose the same.
Yeah. No, I mean, the one thing that we were missing and I think we were just too used to what we were doing, is that we were um we were sharing code to, like, that upcasting. Like, I'm trying, even with a stupid example like this, the idea of a date of birth missing. We have ways that we want to show a, a different value for the missing information. Like, I even mentioned in a lot of the examples that, okay, for some purposes I want to assume that you were born yesterday. For some purposes I want to assume that it's nil, and it has to, or it has to say, please insert your age, or please specify your age. I don't know. There's there is something really good about, and you know where I think this came from? This is the original sort of domain driven design mantra, and all the other people that have kind of come in from the object oriented way of doing things, where you still want to design events and you can't. Events are just markers of data coming in, and what you're talking about is the responsible thing that I've actually been talking about, is like, that's all you want to do, and everything else you want to leave for interpretation later for its intended purposes. And this includes this upcasting, or trying to make sense of, like, what does that mean to me today. um so yeah, I mean, as we drive to these more responsible ways of doing things, I think this is good. So yeah, I'm glad you wanted to chat, because this is like, yeah, we're gonna probably include that in the workshop to show, what does that look like in code.
Yeah, and yeah, and like I say, Adam, like even before getting to code, when I see a piece of information, especially in the model,
Yeah,
don't hide away from me that's there. I want to see
yeah,
it, and
yeah.
I want
No,
to have conversations about it, and I want
you're
to see
right.
what is happening.
You're right. Even like on this, so let's pick an example from like this event model that we have here. Um, we have these name set things or whatever. I might want to have, like, an older version of the event here, and I want to specify here. I might want to grow this specification way taller as new versions show up, to just show exactly, like, the history of this application and where the thought came from, even though I might not need to look at them as much at all, because there's some code in there already that deals with it. It's really a good documentation, and maybe that's where they belong, is,
It deals
in
with it
here.
as long as it makes sense in the
Yeah,
professor. Because
yeah.
remember, it may be in the future. Oh, actually, we're gonna backtrack on the assumptions in that professor, and we now have this
Well,
here.
it's, yeah. I mean, you might slice things up where it's really stupid. Like, there's nothing there, and you're talking about cruddy types of data. And it's enough that, we captured something, or we ignore that we didn't capture something, and then fine, a dumb no-op type of thing, in those things. But I think it's still good to have it, decoupled. Um, I think again, back to my point, I think we come from this history in event sourcing, that it ended up becoming so popular in the domain driven design world, that designing events were so coupled also to designing aggregates. And so then the core concept of, like, what is the true essence of this? Do we have a subject matter experts in the ubiquitous language to do this properly? We should forget the old version. We finally beat all the information out of the subject matter experts, but that doesn't erase the fact that you did have a different idea that was operating the system. So, I think the big switch here, from moving from where event sourcing got popular to the modern event sourcing, is really focusing on the truest sense of the word of accountability.
Right.
It shouldn't.
But we
Event sourcing was there to, like, prop up domain driven design and those concepts, it should be the other way around. I think
No,
I
yeah,
think it should be, everything else should prop up event sourcing because it becomes the true audit that's going to save your ass.
and that has been my attitude. Like since, like I say, since I discovered event modeling, brother, you don't know how like 360-degree I came. I know you have been removing DDD. I've been destroying DDD in terms of like all these programmers say, right? I keep I keep the business out of things. You know, the hey, keep focus on the bounded context and ambiguous language and stuff like that. I keep that from DDD. The technical aspect, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. So the other thing is that when I see V2, V3, V4, right, and programmers come and say this is painful, okay, no problem. Got a V2 stream and you migrate the data, and you're gonna show me the history that you have to migrate the data because you didn't want to deal with the mess that you created, and then offload those events that don't matter because you migrated somehow to the V2 stream if you really want to. But until you actually solve the situation and you do something about it, it was still there.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? We messed it up some stream. Okay, fine. V2, the first event, for some time, the first event will be data migrated, whatever that means.
Yeah.
You don't need any more, and you're happy with your projections, and you're happy with the processor, upload the data, but, and that's it. That's how you fix the issue. But
Yeah.
you're gonna see it then. You're gonna see that event that says, we fuck it up. Here's the migration.
No, I like it. I like I mean, again, just to review, I think the fact that what you're doing is you're simplifying. Like, I don't have to teach another concept. Like, that's one concept that now is removed, and like you just improved event sourcing by 20%.
Precisely. I love that you understand my intent. Precisely. I have one less computer science or nonsense that I have to explain to somebody just because we decide that was a good idea without questioning about it. You're 100%, and I will die in that hill, and I'm gonna continue doing it.
There's a theme with the community is that we're brutal minimalists. Like, we don't want extra crap, because I think all of us have been through the ringer of having to deal with 1,000 different frameworks, 1,000 different languages, 1,000 different, crazy middlewares that were sold to the places where we worked at to dance around these things and to coordinate them. And so I think we've developed an allergic reaction, whereas like, can I get rid of this? How can I make it simpler, right? And it was like, good God. Yeah.
I share with you one of the ethos that I have for my own company.
Mm-hmm.
Write simple software, and one of them there.
I think the problem here, though, Eurydice, is that people sabotage simple software. They say, buy my framework, use my framework, because you will be able to write, double click on the button and write the click event handler, and you won't have to worry about any of this other stuff. So like, there's this misguided, like, it's like the drive to simplicity is bastardized, especially because of CRUD, especially because of third normal form, and having to deal with crazy coupling, how much stuff is actually needed to happen underneath for the illusion of simplicity at the top. But what we're doing is driving down to the core level. It's like, between the file system and what the user sees, I want as little as possible. I don't want simplicity on the surface level with a giant framework that's like doing 1,200 different things on ORM and all these other things, juggling thousands of index for whatever which way the data may one day be used. Do you understand my the perception of right. Simplicity and true simplicity are very different things, and they're in fact quite opposite.
because I start with the following thing. You're explaining simple versus easy, right? And this comes as a
Right.
real
Yeah,
issue for
exactly.
me, right?
But it's
I'm not
sold as
chasing
simple.
easy stuff.
Easy is sold as simple.
Until somebody like you or me or whoever have the ability to say that's not simple, that's easy.
Yeah.
And this is what I've done in this particular case and other things. It's like, no. That's easy, it's not simple. And it's easy because you're familiar and this and that. Simple is this. How do I know that? Because there's nothing to remove from it. Tell me what they're gonna remove next.
Yeah.
If I remove outcasting from processor, that's it. You're right there next to the data. Because that's it. You're removing literally the storage, that sure, whatever, the file system we're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been trying to do. I've been peeling off this onion of all the stuff that I learned from industry
Mm-hmm.
to see like, okay, what actually was something that needed to be at the platform or infrastructure or like actually at the framework level, right? Because I think framework still have its own value, right? And for me, like I say, I interchangeably use framework, infra, platform, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
There is some value, but what exactly should we get from it? And what should be composed as well instead of given to me? So that's why for me, I always start with this. Okay, the most simple thing, and if I really need to compose things, I'm okay with it, but I opt into it.
Yeah.
Unless composing things is something that I have to be 24/7 doing, okay, I see the value.
Yeah.
Give me an abstraction. But most of the time, these things are static. Barely is actually the case. We just opt to that complexity from the beginning.
Yeah.
Paying the cost, for example, why do I have to pay the cost for any upcaster running in between my hot code, even though I don't even use 90% of the upcasting because you don't need to upcast it? So I see, but I see the pattern matching and I see they having to care about the type and this and that and branching and then like probably memory hits, cache misses all over the place because of it and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to pay all that cost?
Yeah. No, it's really amazing what's happened over the last 2 years, I would say. We've had you, Martin, we had Bobby, had Rafael, had so many people build so many good things and give so many good insights. Had Sebastian in Germany, and then he moved to Munich. To Switzerland. He did so much for the traditional systems where he couldn't use event sourcing to do event modeling. They have Arian also doing a ton of stuff with like really putting event modeling at the discovery, like the problem exploration space.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually done a really good job of. Oh, by the way, he's going to be in Vancouver. He's flying here to Vancouver for this conference. It's insane. There's people coming here from all over the world. He's coming in from New Zealand, I think. Got people from Europe, people from all over the States. And I didn't even like publish the agenda yet. It's crazy. So anyway, we're onto a good thing. And then, oh, did you see what happened? Ryan Singer is coming too, virtually. He's the guy from 37 Signals in Basecamp.
Oh, that's amazing.
He worked with DHH for 20 years, side by side.
Well, great. I would like to have the opportunity to tell guys.
And guess what? And guess what he likes? Guess what he likes? He's putting event modeling as part of Shape Up for the initial part. Like he wrote the Shape Up book, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you read it. Have you read Shape Up? Okay, so it's kind of like what they did at Basecamp and 37 Signals to kind of get away from Agile.
Mm-hmm.
That's worth a read.
I'm reading it today, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm reading
but we had two really good chats. We had an initial chat for an hour, and then the second time last week we were supposed to talk for just 1 hour. We talked for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Just crazy. Just so many good things for moving like the industry past this like agile problem and really getting design and collaboration back into better communication, just everything we've been doing with event modeling and all that, and what others have been trying to do with other things. So like when you talk about Ryan doing his thing with Shape Up, it's exactly the same goals, right? So when we started talking, we just couldn't stop. It was so it's going to be so cool to have him at the conference too. So yeah, look up Ryan Singer on 37 Signals. He's no longer there. He's got his own thing going, but he worked with DHH for like 20 years or something. So all of that community stuff is part of his doing. So it's just pretty cool. So yeah.
Well, which by the way, with this idea, I would love Adam to find every one of you that have a lot of experience, and all I want is just to own being wrong. Like I really want to figure out, break it apart. Find all these things I'm talking about, and please do not hold them in. I'm wrong, but I just I just need to find what simplicity actually means.
No, this is perfect. This is because I heard the frustration in your voice when you're talking, trying to get these concepts across, and even within the event sourcing community, even within all these circles, there is like, oh, we got to this level, and I think people say that this is good enough of a goal forever, too fast, because because the opposite, the world without event sourcing, is so much worse that they're happy to call this the end goal. But
yeah, exactly.
but people like you keep pushing, and it's good. It's like, no, we can do better, and you got way more years ahead of you than I do, so it's good to see.
Because it cost me 3 years of my life to figure out whatever the fuck you guys, I don't think you, but like whatever the fuck you guys in the DDD community and whatever and even sourcing are talking about.
Yeah.
3 years, Adam.
Yeah.
Until made you 3 years. I was studying non-stop, reading things, reading the book,
Yeah.
understanding concepts and this and that. After I made you say, no, kid, don't focus on that. Here's the model, focus on the data, how you think about it. Here's how you translate those patterns into software. I realized, like, why you guys are talking about all these whole things? That is not that it doesn't have its merit, but why do I have to go into it for me to feel that I'm productive having a conversation with you?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
But that's exactly why, Adam. It makes me so happy to get people that know shit about professionally speaking, right? Because they don't have the experience, and they just high perform.
Yeah.
And they get it. And it's not because I'm that smart. It's that I actually simplify the complexity.
Well, you got
really basic computer science concept. Here's data. Here's permutation. Call it a day.
What you got was the spirit of it. Earlier. See, I even dragged in so much from many years. Luckily enough, though, what saved my ass was that I was on my own for a long time with just my little Commodore 64 to just look at machine language and data and memory and try and figure out how the thing worked. And I was enchanted by these design book patterns, like, oh, these really these design patterns in software, these people are so smart. I need to understand all of these things to to be at a level of writing systems of this complexity or performance, or that many people rely on it.
Adam, that is exactly the feeling, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. Because listen, I never consider myself a smart person, although I'm not an idiot neither. But the imposter syndrome that I felt,
just huge,
because people made it so complex,
100%,
figured out by myself at home.
Yeah,
I just hate that feeling with my guts.
It happened to me as well, and actually I think it was worse. Maybe I'm just talking about like I'm old and it's like, oh, you have it so easy. No, but same thing happened with on that side. But I think there was a a much more real gatekeeping problem in the 90s, where like you needed a CS degree, you needed a master's degree, you needed like you would like your journey to find a job where you're self-taught was much harder 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And the material to do things, but maybe it's because the material to self-educate was harder, that people just understood that, you know, you need to have someone with a master's degree to get this level of knowledge or whatever.
And by the way, like lately, I posted on LinkedIn because, like, look, guys, I don't know where to go and find other people. Maybe now it's my journey to define the path forward, right? But like, I I I take the stand as an architect. If I cannot give you a methodology for you to reproduce what I'm talking about, at the very least, I will not say do this.
Yeah, yeah,
And if I say
exactly.
do this, I'm gonna tell you. I
Well,
don't. There's no way to prove it.
yeah,
Just trust me. But at the very least, I'm gonna be upfront with people. Say this is a trust thing. It's not a craftsmanship. It's not a professional thing.
yeah,
Because I'm tired of listening to every single architect and books. Like, fuck, man, I'm gonna stop reading like
yeah,
architect books because there's no methodology. There's no way to quantify
yeah,
anything. There's no way to prove anything. Everything sounds so pretty and
yeah.
concept here
Well, that's
and
how I got
diagrams are
you.
there.
This is
Like,
because I had to make something simple enough that I could say, here, you can do this without me. I'm not gonna overburden you with 1,000 concepts. Just
precisely.
here's you know, 2 patterns. Just do this over and over again, and that's gonna be a good basis for you to get across projects. You know, I wish
Right.
I had this for myself for years, right? I needed to show progress through projects, not just for myself but for others. I needed for people to understand the work, because I the first foray into enterprise stuff where there was, you know, Dilbert situations and the friggin' bosses that never coded or used to code long ago would essentially just socially engineer you in or out of teams, um, with no basis in someone's work, or assign you stuff that you knew that they knew you wouldn't like or whatever, like just manipulation, right? There's like these fiefdoms, it seemed, and this cuts through that. Like there's nowhere to hide on an event model. You can't hide anywhere, and when someone's complicating something on purpose, everyone sees it. They look like they're the ones that are going to sabotage the project, right? There's no hiding. So anyway.
So yeah, so like I hopefully I can get the platform that I'm talking about. I think like honestly I think I'm gonna be able to shake up the entire way we've been doing the work, especially at the runtime, like and how we run it
Yeah.
and get the benefits of honest serverless computing for the good reasons. Uh, but
Well,
for me to get
I'm
there, yeah, I've been screaming out
yeah,
way too many things.
good. No, the more the better. Honestly, like the amount of stuff that's being, even the discussions today with Martin on our Discord, where people are stuck in just using Axon. I'm not saying stuck. I mean, Axon's great. It's getting people to do event sourcing. So awesome. That's really good. And they're actually looking at, you know, aggregate list stuff. But then they're getting caught on a specific implementation like tags and all that.
Okay, I want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to talk about that because I I, I was curious about it, the aggregate situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the question. Please help me to understand what is this about. I think it's extremely distracting topic that we are gonna gain absolutely nothing from.
Okay.
Because the idea that I can just query the ledger and there is no aggregate technically because the state of the system is just projecting, like a query to the ledger and put a bunch of events. It doesn't matter which stream you are or not.
Mm-hmm.
Only works, and this is what I wanted to get out of from them. Only works as long as all the data is in one single data store. And I'm
Yes.
not willing to give that up.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
fine.
willing to give it back
I don't. I don't.
because
I don't think anyone's arguing with that.
right,
How
right,
else are you gonna do it?
but it's critical. But it's critical because
Hmm.
what that means is that you're giving up to physics. You're saying, fuck physics. Physics. I'm gonna try the exact same that RDBMS have been doing, which are called transaction, begin transaction, whatever, commit transaction.
Yeah.
Is it true face commit? No. But the point is like all the data have to live in the exact same space time.
Hmm.
It will not happen. At
Hmm.
some point, the data will become way too big, and you have to short. And
Mm,
now, let's talk about backtracking out of your freaking decision. And it's not about thinking about stream and consistency boundary way too early. Is that if you don't think about these things, you better off understand the monster you're creating.
I don't know if it's a monster because you look at Git history, right? I brought this point up. Is that you have this idea of like, especially like temporary files. If you're automating scripts or whatever, you want to dump something out, and you dump it to a temporary file. You can ask for a temporary name, and a temporary file is created, and then you move the file to where it's supposed to be when you know the content is all there. That's referential integrity. I mean, the idea of referential integrity and transactional boundaries and transactions and two-phase commits, those concepts are already evident in just the most basic computing of just like, is there a pointer to that memory location yet? No, it's still null. I'm only going to act on this when the pointer gets set to something because it only gets set once the data on the other side is ready. And this concept with indexes and other things can actually work across traditional aggregate things. And first of all, let me just say what I've been saying about no aggregates. It's not about going cross aggregates or whatever. The first step is just to make sure that you don't have to hydrate an entire aggregate to do something stupid like cancel an order. Why the hell should I replay an entire fucking stream if the business rules say I can cancel an already canceled order and I can cancel an order for whatever reason anytime? Why would I, on that aggregate, read all the events? There is no code that will care about any piece of data in those old events.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I? But we've been beating people over the head with the concept of an aggregate stream that, this is the aggregate root is this holy grail of integrity for this entire subset of data, where the
Right.
reality is totally opposite.
Right, no, hold on, because I understand what you're saying, and I don't have a problem with that, which is, and correct me here if I'm wrong. I'm okay saying out of a given stream, I only want a subset of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. But I don't want to say out of all the streams, I want to pick different events from each other.
Yeah, but then you have I'm willing to explore those ideas. And the reason
I mean, it's okay. I'm willing as well, but like I want them to tackle the hard problems, not the simple problems that is like, okay, sure, whatever. Postgres will do it. Who cares? But
Postgres will do it at a very I mean, there's two things that I want to do, two extremes that I want to show for these concepts. Mm-hmm. One is simple Git-like file-based referential integrity, even on the index level for growing these helper files alongside a ledger. That's growing.
Which I don't disagree that probably will work in a simple.
Yeah, but the approach two is on the flip side, use something as robust and mature for all the features that you get for data such as Postgres. And there you have an event table, but the event table has references to that event table has as many columns as event types. And any particular row can have only one column populated.
Wait, are you talking about Datomic that way?
No. Listen, I'm not. You have to create a table for each event type so that you can have columns for all the data in an event. So, or a tree. So you could have like a master detail type of little structure too. That's fine. But all you would have to do is make joins and use regular SQL to do everything for event sourcing. And the reason I want that is because there's two sides. There's the startups which should use just use the file system. Here's one page of C# code that gives you your event store and plus some indexes to help you to have quasi aggregate performance or whatever. And here's the enterprise. You are free to do whatever you want with your existing tools for SQL, because all you have is the restriction to only use history tables.
Okay, so I have a third one, Adam, and help me here to understand. Maybe I'm overthinking it, or I'm completely off. Right. The dimension I want to test is what happened when a single data store cannot handle, because of performance reasons, the situation, and you have to shard the event store. Like literally, you have to have completely different file system, yada yada, you name it. And what are the consequences of backtracking out of something that assumed that all the data was capable to be queried, as a unit? Because as soon as I have shard, I have to deal with distributed reads or whatever you want to call it, like in transaction fatigue between the two systems. So I want it, for me, right? That's the type of problem that I want to see to be true. Not because everybody will have that problem. I understand that. For most systems out there, the aggregate idea, one event store will cut it just fine. I get it, fine. From the computer science perspective, and from the perspective of doing something different, and honestly something that would change the industry, show me how you're gonna deal with that sharding point. Because physics, speed of light would always be there. And the bigger the data and whatnot, the slower something is gonna become. And at some point you just like that's it, right? And I'm talking even at the scale of the memory, it doesn't matter. You have to shard that info, you have to split it up between processors or how you're gonna call it, computer. I don't care about that. You have to shard. What now? How do I backtrack out of it? Especially if I design an entire system that says go and query the world, and I don't have to worry about it because it's just gonna work the way it's just gonna work. And then second to that, right? When you have multi-streams, which is like coordination between them, what I found, this guy, is that it's just another stream that is a coordinator. And most people say, I don't want that. I just want the shooter commit. No, not the shooter commit. I want commit between streams. Like, because this feels unproductive or necessary. For me, it's like, it's not necessary. Because that component that is a coordinator, I may just remove it completely. Because I decide that now the data is batch created between United States and Europe. And none of those things actually now need the coordinator anymore. Yeah. And that was a solution between quotes to my problem. You see?
Yeah.
But architecturally, it didn't change way too much. I just changed, I removed that a stream that is acting as a coordinator and solve the problem.
Well, that's what I mean, you're talking about the same idea of me getting rid of sagas. We just don't want them.
But that solution of the aggregate, that everything has to be in the same data store, how are you going to backtrack out of those decisions? If the whole code already is all over the place, spaghetti of like everything is in the exact same space time. No, it's not.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. That's where I'm coming from. It's like, with the simplicity of conversation, go all the way to the most simple data that you're going to deal with and how you're going to deal with that data. I call it a stream. And that's what I explain to people. The accidental value of event sources or this stream thinking is that you already thought about sharding the info. At the very least, from the business perspective, you decide that this information is the ultimate information that have to move through space-time together to make a decision. I don't think it's worth it to give up to that. And it's not because at the beginning I want to start thinking about that, right? No, I agree with you, the tweet you put today. I don't want to be thinking about aggregates and consistency boundaries and yada yada. I want to see the data. The data will lead me to ask this question.
That's
and
right.
Will strategically add the stream because I'm gonna let the data to this teach me, right? And give me a methodology to have this conversation. But removing that dimension of the consistency boundary, just I don't think it's worth it. I don't want an event model with just one gigantic event thing all the way to the end, which may be the case, that's okay at the beginning in the discovery phase when we just talk about data.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to answer, what is the contagion in the business? No, not even about talking in the code. Like,
well, that's what
that's put people behind it. What is the contagion within them?
Yeah, that's the whole idea why event modeling has swim lanes, is so that you can explore that concept. Is that
right? But they're removing it, right? Because
yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but they want to remove it. It's like, no, guys, I want to talk about that.
Yeah, well, there's reasons for removing it that are valid. There's reasons for adding it that are valid. And what you're talking about is for adding it. You're adding it for a valid reason. You have, for example, a geographic divide, which is going to have, the physics problem of like you cannot assume anything about the other side because light travels only so fast at these distances. And so now this may be more pertinent to maybe trading systems that have to look at market data or something, right? You are definitely scratching, a very niche part of the problem space because, for all the projects that we've done over the last 10 years, there's only a handful of cases where, the database would make a difference for whether we went one way or another. Everything that we've written could be written straight to files. It could be used with a really slow Postgres install on a shared hosting environment. Wouldn't matter. So a lot of Event Store itself was made to work for ingesting data for, financial trading systems. That's where Greg was working at the time. That's when those ideas were kind of simmering in his head, right? I can't speak for him, but that's where he was. And, it was all about scaling the right side. This is why Event Store DB was, invented. I think where I come out of this whole experience on the other side is really understanding that the benefit is the accounting side of it. That the concept that you're talking about, that there is an event model that can show with swim lanes, Europe and the US coordinating something where this concurrency of what happened across the ocean is going to be an issue if you don't take care of it correctly.
Right, which most people, like I say, and hear me out here, because for people to understand where I'm coming from, they need to remove the precondition that I'm coming from the DDD and bike sharing over consistency attribute all the time. I'm not.
Yeah.
Give me one event model with one swim lane, and it's called one string in the database called that. Oh, I don't care. And put the data inside the event, and inside the event, I figure out how to query, blah, blah, blah. You get the point, right?
Yeah.
I'm not coming from that place. I'm coming from the place of like, if you architect a system that is fast, right, and from the system level, I mean, not one component, I'm talking like the coordination among too many components.
Mm-hmm.
If the software architecture of the entire system requires me to ignore physics, it's just a matter of time, and I'm not saying everybody's dealing with that problem. I'm not saying that either, but it's just a matter of time that you will have to backtrack out of it. And all I'm saying is, if your ideas are good, which I'm not opposed to it, and I want to see what happened, show me what happened in that case. This is the second reason why I've been lately, by the way, chasing the simplicity. Like, what would happen if I remove the global sequencing of events from the event store? And I know there are few things and stuff like that it makes handy, but I've been like, no, that's a consistency. Like, keeping that global thing means that time has to be the same for everything, and I don't want that. And I'm curious to see what I need to do in the code and the business and the model and how to think about the problems. I said, I don't even care about this anymore.
Well, I'm
never gonna take advantage of that anymore.
We need to find an example problem of this and just have an implementation. I mean, you can easily simulate it. You just put a sleep 2 on something because it's going to arrive late across the Atlantic. So, right, we can start to explore, what makes sense for modeling a system that involves that level of sharding.
Right, and by the way, I think that global consistency, global event that we take for granted, right, that was imposed for this storage engine, I think is hindering to some extent. My gut feeling says that is hindering the domain because people are not thinking about this type of technicalities
Yes. Well,
because
so what
because
you're
it's convenient.
what you're getting at is where, my example of the Ticketmaster thing, where you have high concurrency for tickets on a Saturday morning when some band puts on tickets for sale at 10 a.m. and everyone's hitting F5 and they're trying to buy front row tickets all at once. This is kind of where I'm introducing concepts that most would want to throw to infrastructure, but I want that to be bubbled up because it is a business concern. It's people are not buying bus tickets. They're highly contending for very valuable resource, competing with scalpers and all sorts of other things. So it is your business to not throw this over the fence as a technical problem purely. It's going to have ramifications of people being upset that they didn't get their tickets, that whatever. People are going to get upset about scalpers getting too much because they automated the system in their favor. It's not a technical issue. It's a business issue. And it's one of the reasons that I wanted event modeling to be explored for some of the other things, like when I, 2 years ago or whatever, I had maybe 3 years ago now, the going through and doing an event model for a technical concept like how does this template get populated in the MVC, right? You have the model populating this view. So how do we take care of collections that you have to have a for each statement and it's going to insert HTML in between all these and it's still going to come out to what you want? And how can we show that as a business concept, but it's purely technical, but maybe your company does that, right? I wanted to explore where I don't want to, or event modeling fails to be useful, right? I need to be aware of those boundaries. But I think what you're talking about is within the scope of that and has to be expressed. And whether you're talking about two different swim lanes for geographic locations or types or subsystems, I never made the distinction that swim lanes need to be dividing different systems by type. You could have instances, and that's why even when you're doing aggregates and organizing them on a row, you can have two different rows showing two different aggregates and the contention for something between the two. Right? So I don't think event modeling is stopping you from showing what you want to show in terms of how you want to take care of event sourcing platforms to take care of these issues.
Right. No, it's not. It's not. And I'd be leveraging for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the aggregate less idea stuff, guys, tackle the hard problem. The simple problem, I agree with you. I know it's gonna work. It's just like.
But I don't think you're gonna paint yourself in a corner. Even if someone does something really dumb and throws away all ideas of any system boundaries and throws everything in a big bucket and then just has ad hoc indexes to find whatever they need and starts throwing out locks that the same process has to look at to see if they're done, they're going to hit things like deadlocks and whatever, right? And they're going to come up with, I don't know, some Rust implementations where you have lifetimes that's going to solve that problem. Way overcomplicating it, right? So yeah, maybe this is where you pull back and say, for what you're doing, you shouldn't do that. I mean, I personally would any day throw away an aggregate so that I don't have to look at the entire stream so I can cancel an order. But you're going at it from the opposite, pushing it to the other direction. You're saying, I'm not canceling an order. I want to make sure that all orders at all the cash registers don't exceed $1,000 at any time, right? because each cash register may be its own till, and there may be some delays between each, right?
What I'm saying is that there's no way for me to design a system that would prove that I would not design a system that requires me to ignore that there is a time delay between those things.
Okay.
Unless the business itself is okay having that projection, like and taking
Yeah,
time.
but you can use an event model to show that
Right.
1% of the time you're gonna have this situation. Just plan on it, and like if you can eat that cost or the dissatisfaction of your customers, then yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you. I mean, we've already been doing that in event modeling, right? Because we want to show in these concurrency models, you're gonna have these issues where you want to prioritize the purchase of a Ferrari over the purchase of the $5 coffee cup.
Right. Right. But my concern, and it's not the remodeling level, and people that are doing remodeling probably they're safer. But the community overall, like my concern is going to this concept and say, okay, guys, you're focusing on technicality of things, and I keep focusing on domain. What is the effect? What is the side effect or the consequences at the business? And when the reason I say that is because if I have to react to a business decision that requires me re-architecting the entire system and finding where in the system the way the business works and the code didn't match just because it was convenience for me in the code, I have a problem with it. Like literally at the code implementation level.
Yeah.
That's why for me it's like if when you do that, I don't care. Answer me. When we change these type of requirements or whatnot, and the speed of light is no longer in your favor, it's
Right.
against you, and you cannot do anything about it.
Yeah.
What is the cause of me backtracking out of it? And especially after many, many years. And I think it's worth trying to answer that. Not discourage experimentation because I know what they're doing and I know it will work in a given scale given the content that the space time always have to be one.
Exactly.
That is same data. I'm going the opposite side. I'm going with what if every single stream, whatever that is give up to the global
ordering. Yeah.
Global ordering. So technically, you have mini databases, which is a file system, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
All over the fucking place, and they're never required to each other to be in the same database.
Yeah.
But obviously, the consequences of that is that from the business and implementation, I may end up with more streams that are as are coordinated, right?
Yeah. No.
Wait. Key point. I don't want to call it process manager. Stop calling process manager. I refuse to call it process manager. I will never call them process manager.
Okay.
Although that's what they are. They're freaking coordinated streams that are right there. They're event handlers and whatnot, and domain specific thing that is for those coordinators. If you reduce it to something that is generic enough for job processing tool or process manager, fine. But I'm not gonna teach it that way. That's just nonsense. So
well, I'm all for simplifying things. So yeah, if you want to have a different set of names for things when you're doing an automation, that's fine.
No, automation in what sense? Because that one that is coordinator, people call it process manager, right?
Well, I mean, I'm only calling it by name so that people understand what I'm talking about because they're so used to talking about it. In terms of what I do for my own projects is just a to-do list. It always has been. And maybe it's showing some fulfillment or some other concept, but in essence, it's a task list for something or someone to do.
Yeah. Well, that one is different. By the way, I need to really copy your like the way you've been doing that. I'm talking more like when people add the process, the classical process manager that react to an event and produce a command. But they hide away the stream from it.
Yeah.
And the state machine versioning and whatnot is hidden away behind a component. I haven't done that. I built the entire banking system with a single process manager, as in what the community call process manager, which is this component that is a freaking centralized object that is an event handler and a command dispatcher at the same time, and it have an internal state. Nope, haven't done that. I only don't apply what you're saying. I either have to-do lists or something that acts as that to-do list just because I want to have those extra events. Why? Why not? I want to see when something happens from the perspective of somebody going to start doing the work and not, and why start doing the work instead of losing that into the to-do list, for example, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying always, but I've been doing that. It's like I'm okay. My to-do list is not yet another aggregate that publish an event that actually is the one who triggers a given job. So what? Guess what? I have more history. I'm not losing data.
Yeah.
What if that a Greek model actually made a mistake or whatever, or that to-do list made a mistake, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot tell. I cannot see it. What was the mistake? What version of the component was the mistake on? What was it the data that I lost or replaced or like? Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then the beautiful thing is like most things are stateless. What I mean by that is like most of the information is in the event.
Yeah.
So I don't need states.
Yep.
State is the stream and call it day. That's the type of strategy I've been doing, right? And that's why the to-do list for me is like I'm just gonna model it. It's a little bit more work, yeah, but it's not like 3 hours of work. It's more like 20 minutes of work, right?
Yeah.
And then I get all the other benefits of like, okay, I can see what happened and why it happened, and then and stuff like that, and then moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the
So
things about that I find is interesting is when you have these people that want to have reactive programming that they want to go straight from an event to a command on the other side, is that often the same people are looking for a tool to do that for them that has that tool's monitoring system to see if there's dead letter queues and all this other shit, right? It's like, the fuck are you doing? Like, you just invited another vendor to like own your processes. Like, it's really dumb. So yeah, I don't know. Like, oh, you have code. I mean, it's this age old thing. It's like, oh, you have to code that, not invented here. Like, you shouldn't write this code. It's like, yes, you should. What are you going to do? Configure your middleware to implement your business logic because it's not invented here? Like, what the? It's insane. Like, some of the stuff that people like say with a straight face. I think they've been beaten down by vendors really hard. Like, from Azure, from all the AWS, they're like, use this. This is the way you configure that. Blah blah blah. It's like, you own nothing. No, we know better. It's unbelievable. Like, there's no ownership. Like, people driving for like zero ownership. Like, they're scared because they're gonna have, shitty code that they're gonna write. Like, yeah, true, but you're also gonna have horrible misconfigurations. They're probably gonna be even worse because they're gonna be, a small subset of people knowing how to configure that tool properly. So it's actually gonna be worse than code.
right. Yeah. So that. Although, by the way, I do the to-do list. Granted, different in that a little bit different from what you do today.
That's okay. I mean, as long as you're doing event models and you understand how the data's flowing, these are edge cases and corners that don't have to be 100%. There's I mean, you look at what Eves is writing on LinkedIn about, using event modeling, and is adding all these extra things. It's like adding a picture of the projection between the event and the green box. Okay, I mean, sure, that's his. It's an augmentation. It's annotations, if you will, and I use them. I mean, I've stuck extra things onto the event model when it makes sense to do so. And I'm gonna keep event modeling pure for those that want to learn it, so they don't have to think that there's 12 other things on top of event modeling. So that's, like you said, simplicity from right away. That's why I don't want to discourage them from experimenting, but I'm still saying that no, I'm not gonna add these things as part of the core concept. I want the core concept to be so strong and solid that the fact that other people add extensions to it is not going to falter what people learn.
That is critical. That is critical. I'm telling you that is the most critical part of the whole thing, and that's something that allowed me to honestly fundamentally understand the subject and have such an impact.
Yeah.
Without that, it will be yet another DVD, and like people are telling me it depends all the time with
With no
and by
examples.
shedding over it depends. Like guys, I know it depends. I just give me a freaking like I don't know.
Give me an
Or
example.
yeah, or no methodology whatsoever. It
Yeah,
depends. Okay, it depends on this, and that. Okay, cool. How can I come up with the answer that you
yeah.
gave? No methodology. I'm sorry, I cannot pay attention to it. Like I'm getting older, therefore I'm getting dumber and slower. So I need something that like tells me what to do.
uh,
That's right.
well,
Or
if you look,
guide me.
if
Guide me.
if you look after your health, you'll be fine. You won't get older. But hey, how the hell are you still awake?
Yeah,
Isn't it like 1 a.m. where you are?
yeah. I mean, I can go to sleep before my girlfriend would probably kick me out, but that's different.
Well, anyway, I have to get going because I have to still probably. I'm not sure if I'm hungry yet or more or what, but I've been live streaming for a little bit over 4 hours, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to chop this off at some point, and but I want to get back to you know more of the live stream because I promised people to show the couple of ways of doing the automation piece, one through the cron job and one through the synchronous method of just kicking off the next thing. So that's what I'm
Mhm.
gonna do tomorrow, and then and yeah, I mean if you're around, feel free to drop in and we can discuss more of that. But I want to see code of like I want to make a fake, maybe even a stupid client side JavaScript only concept proof, right? And maybe that's when we start to add some of these front like client side only examples into eventmodeling.org, right? And we still have eventsourcing.com, which we should probably write something proper for now that we've had, enough decades of experience with it. So it's not, yeah, we're not here just as pure consultants and book writers. That's all we implement all day, every day for years and years. So we should probably do something on that together.
I've been trying to think of writing a book. Though. I've been, like I said, I've been frustrated with the industry, and at the same time, I want to take the ownership to figure out how to write a book, and that forces me to reduce my thoughts
Uh-huh.
to something that is
Uh-huh.
good. And
Yeah.
also, I don't want a book that is about my philosophy and this. Like, no, I want to give like methodology to people. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is how you think
Mm-hmm.
and test it. And if it doesn't work based on whatever the heck I'm talking about, at the very least, you could give me quantifiable things of why.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I've been thinking about that lately, and it's primarily all about first part of the book is even model,
Yeah.
and I think like this is why you think about it this way. By the way, I have a conversation with a friend of mine. He's a business person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm he's so eager with even modeling and stuff like that because now he's applying it to teach other people businesses processes,
Good.
no software.
That's
Because
good.
as soon as I explained to him, look, man, that here is just a human as a service, and
Yeah.
like if you design an entire business, no software business, just business data and things like that, he said like, wait, what? And I show him like this is why you do it, bro. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to know the impact of simply change how you think about things, and then
Yeah.
everything else just follows. Like, okay, come on, it's just
I don't know.
I mean,
I think flowcharts distracted a lot of our information systems thinking. But, I mean, the whole idea of moving away from simple storytelling, which is so powerful for the human mind. It's like,
yeah, and it's making me no horrible. By the way, I have
yeah,
horrible experience being getting hired.
well,
I dealt with
we'll fix that.
somebody doing system design,
We're
and
gonna fix that.
yeah, look, hold on. Let me see if I can show you something because this is hilarious. What happened to me,
Okay.
and hilarious now that I'm getting paid for now, right?
Uh huh.
A little scary. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I'm
what
gonna show you.
What are you gonna show me?
Like what happened to me during an interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, just for you to understand my frustration, and a little bit annoying because I didn't invest my time into networking.
Oh, hold on a second. I gotta increase the size of that.
Can you see that? So
Hold on. I gotta make sure everyone can see it. Whoa. Whoa. Transition.
yeah, you could see it just fine. Here's the interview. Classic system design and architecture. Let's come up with random like bullshit. Let's replicate Uber. Okay, give me the use cases. You know what was the first thing? First of all, I asked the person, "Do you want me to do it your way or my way?" No, do it your way. Okay, fine. I start doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Tangible thing. Just leave it what it is.
Uh-huh.
Okay, look, this is all I have. Command event, see the info, then the driver, then like the user GUI request the ride,
Mm-hmm.
rider request, then the driver could actually start the ride, and then
Mm-hmm.
that update the thing, and that. The person stopped me is like, no. They want this. Okay, fine. If you want boxes, I can give you boxes. Do you want errors? Okay, you can point the error. I put this one like, oh, where will you put the location or how you get the location from the router? Like, okay, cool. There you go. Look, right there. I hate this, man.
I know.
This is bullshit. This
I
is
know.
stupid.
I know.
This is professionally annoying. But guess what? I didn't get hired.
Yeah. Oh.
They wanted this. You cannot tell shit from this, but this is bullshit. Or they wanted this. No. Let's talk about what endpoint. I don't give a fuck about application JSON or /writer or not. Are you trying to test me after 10 years if I know how to write HTTP?
Yeah. You can just ask
Like,
ChatGPT to do it for you. There's about 1 million examples that it's learned from.
why talking about this? I'm talking about this is important thing. And then here's the thing. The person was like, okay, well, how will you handle the location and stuff like that and yada yada. It's like, well, if you don't understand that when I see this, those tickets could be independently optimized for its use case, you would understand that I don't give a shit about location itself. I give a shit about a given read model that is needed for whatever use case you want. It's not about location.
Yeah.
The person could understand. And if you're not gonna give me SLA, okay, fine, just put cockroaches spanner. It sounds like an architecture man there.
Yeah.
And here's 12 hours to observability. Call it a day. Like whatever database would do it.
Yeah.
And then it's not that whatever database would do it, is that which of these stickies do you need that database for?
Yeah.
Well, I'm missing the location. But the point is like,
Wow.
I can make decisions based on what sticky are we talking about? No, man. This.
Yeah.
This is what the person wanted to talk about.
See, there's people
Yeah.
just don't get it. But it's a one-way street, and unfortunately or fortunately, you've made it to the other side, and it's like you don't want to get back into the pod in the matrix, right? You're out of the matrix. You know you took the red pill. You know what you've unleashed, and there's no fucking way you're going back.
Yeah, but it's just scary.
I know.
It's scary from time to time because I don't even have kids. If I want to have kids, the decision making is not even longer about me. Like it's way more than that. And like after so many years without having to interview and whatnot, and getting back and saying, "Wait, you guys still talking about this?" Also, are you like how you're an architect? Like at this point, like it doesn't, and it's no, it's scary, Adam, and funny at the same time because I cannot take this super seriously. It's not out of ego; it's out of like, guys, are you seriously right now?
It was scary. I mean, but like we've had a ton of people hired. There's people that are basically ready to retire because of this. Like it's good. Like it's that good. The right people will know that you care and that you're doing much better than the default out there. Like it's sad to see that people will hire for the default. They want to see that you're average so that you're not a risk, which is crazy because the average software project fucking sucks and they're hiring for the average. It's so anyway, I don't think you have to worry about it, but yeah.
Well, for now it's in the past, but I'm still am, and primarily, like because I want to take bigger risk. And what I
I
mean by
mean,
that is just getting married and have kids. But
I,
man, that was brutal. That was brutal.
um, I mean, I see the same thing with the whole thing of like moving to Linux 100%. I thought, oh man, I'm giving up gaming. I'm giving up, music production. I'm like, do I need those things? Well, there's now DAWs that work on Linux, and there's like I can now do video editing. It's slowly started to catch up, and like the more shit that happens with like I don't know CrowdStrike or whatever on Windows is just the truth always comes out. It's just the people that are making money off the lie can only do it for so long. So it's the same thing with Linux adoption. It's just a matter of time. Event sourcing, just a matter of time. It's like, why the fuck are you throwing away information? Why are you forcing a single abstraction where every single piece that has to use that abstraction now has something that's suboptimal? It's stupid. Like, we know this is stupid. Why are you working with blinders on? Because Agile says you only have one sprint. Anyone can only look at these things. Why are you forcing rewriting of code when you don't need to rewrite code? Why are you forcing throwing things over the wall because uh, use cases are written by this BA, and then these people have to translate it for their own unit tests, and they're living in a world totally unrelated needlessly to the business guys? Like, the list goes on and on, right? And
Yep.
and same thing with like the Linux stuff and any number of these concepts that are worthwhile in human history are just going to, like, they fought hard to keep smoking as a thing to do, right? Even doctors were recommending smoking in the 60s, right? For your nerves. It's good for you because it calms your nerves. Think of all the stress you're relieving, and you're going to be, it's going to be easier for you. You're not going to have wrinkles. You're not going to be stressed. You're not going to, they probably were thinking you're not going to have cancer because of stress. That's 1960s. That's not too long ago, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I look at event sourcing as something that is no longer a taboo subject. I think it's no longer a taboo subject because information is truly very important. Accuracy of information is truly very important. You have AI that needs to be trained on history of how things evolved. You're not going to get that with snapshots. Like, there's just so much inherent goodness out of having a breadcrumb trail of audits. All this stuff is related. That's why, like, I did the presentation at Linux Fest Northwest, because I want an event model at instead of a README file at the top of an open source project. Like Sugar CRM ended up getting swallowed up by a vendor because it cyclomatic complexity exploded, because everyone that's contributing to open source, they're using the experience at some stupid company that they're in their job. They're using their education at a university to do that. So they're forcing these canonical models into open source projects. And yeah, sure. How much free time do people want to give up for Sugar CRM if every feature is exponentially more expensive? There's no way that's going to survive. So guess what happens? Right? That project became abandonware, got picked up, and ended up being a commercial project because the only way they could pay for ever increasing costs to maintain that is by growing a larger and larger customer base. It's a dead end. It's stupid. So that's why I was at Linux Fest Northwest. That's why we're now, like, Adaptive Group is a sponsor of Linux, the Linux Foundation, right? We are on there, right next to AMD and other friggin' companies. But that's how strongly I believe in this. That yeah, if you have an event model and event sourcing on an open source project, you flatten the cost curve. You keep that project going for free forever, right? And when they talk to the guy that did Nextcloud at Linux Fest Northwest as well, his replacing proprietary stuff in governments in Germany and all sorts of, like, public offices and stuff, which is awesome. I mean, he's doing it for a different reason, for having open standards and all these things, and not having vendors leak taxpayer money out of society. But there's that next level where that open source thing can actually be better than the proprietary stuff on a technical merit and other merits, right? So all this stuff's related. But yeah, look at Linux Foundation sponsors. You'll find us there. I'm serious about this stuff. That's like, if you want the world to be like this, if open source projects have an event model instead of a README, that's how you do it. Because then you have that fixed cost for keeping things that just take the ball away from an entire industry where it should be free for people, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, you know how crazy I am about open source, so I'll spare you the rest.
Well, I need you to help me then with the stuff I'm trying to do, because I want to make open source. Just to like I explained to my friend, and I got some access to resources, but I don't want to even make money out of the platform itself. I just want to enable so much potential with the stuff that you can build.
Yep.
Right, from the business perspective, that like I don't need to make money out of like this tool. I'd rather discover business opportunities out there, and the software would not be in my way. That's my intent. That's what I want to do. If I can make 30% better, like computer science as a whole, like in the industry, that's what I'm talking.
Well, I've been horrible at sales and marketing. Obviously, money's not that important to me. So, but if you're concentrated on the work and helping people, you'll get taken care of. It just happens. That's just basic karma. If you continue to help society and produce good things for people, you will always be okay. And so, I mean, look at, I don't have any marketing or sales. Look at the promotion. It's a little banner across my live stream. I'm not paying anyone to promote stuff. I should probably. I mean, I'm not responsible for a lot of people's lives. I should probably hire someone to do some campaigns, because it's no longer just me. I need to crank up the heat. But for the last 10 years, what have you seen, man? Nothing. It's all just the work that spoke for itself. And at some point, I don't want to get hit by a bus and leave everyone stranded. I got to make it into a system that's more maintainable by something more mainstream, like a department with sales and marketing efforts. But, I think 10 years shows that it works on its own without any help.
Well, I need you to teach me that side as well.
You're wrong person. I have like whatever you want to do in sales and marketing, do the opposite of me.
Yeah, I mean, all I want to have is just opportunity to pay the bills, send my kids to college, and like work with people that honestly allows me to grow professionally and as a person. Not get stuck.
Yeah, no, you're doing everything right. So I wouldn't change a thing you're doing. You just made event modeling and event sourcing 20% better by getting rid of the versioning issue. Well, Upcasters. So there you go. There's your contribution. There'll be a chapter dedicated to you in the event modeling book.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So don't. I'm writing it in my notebook actually. One of the things that actually helps quite a bit. I stopped doing this year, and my output has severely suffered. I used to always write in my book, right? Always, like every day. Put in today's date. What am I gonna do? What have I done before? Just like, flip through the pages. Like, what did I do the last couple of days? Can I put check boxes to more things? Should I explore this idea? This is the best thing that happened that I did in my business. Not an electronic form, an actual book that's like good quality that you like using, and a really good pen that you enjoy using, and just like it's a physical reminder. You can hold it and feel it. It's been really good. So if there's something an old school guy like me can give you, that would be this.
Adam, I hate so much writing.
It's okay. It could be your own chicken scratch. You can make your own symbols. Like I make my own symbols.
I was so happy as soon as I got out of school. Like, okay, that's it. Enough.
Not like school, man. This is like, think of it as fun as drawing. It's just you marking up some paper. It's not to be graded on. It's for you just to look at again. That's it. There's something about the act of transferring what's in your head to something like a book that solidifies things in your head that I can't quantify.
That's why I wanted to do it. That's precisely why I wanted to do it, and especially around the architecture topic.
But I'm talking about just writing in general. You don't even have to have a goal. Just like write down your thought.
I like the voice.
Yeah. It's your internal voice that says, "Oh, I'm writing this down. What else should I write?" Oh, it's all of a sudden you're using a different part of your brain, and I think that really does anchor your ideas better. You know to come back to stuff, things that you thought you would get back to, you don't. But if you flip back a couple of pages, oh yeah, right, I was gonna do this. I can do this in a better way now. Even if you don't, like, half of my stuff doesn't have a checkbox next to it. Half of it's not done. A quarter of it probably won't ever get done. It doesn't matter. Without it, I'd probably get 50% of what I'm doing now done. So
I'm gonna try and see how it goes.
Just get something you really like. Like, these are like Italian made fake leather, but feels really good, with a rubber band, a little holder for your pen, so there's always a pen that you like next to it. It's, if you want to, like, don't get something for $5 at the cheap store. Get something for $25. That extra $20 is gonna, like, make a world of difference, because it's gonna be, I hate touching this thing, to like, oh, I like this thing. That's gonna make a big difference. The non-computer education part of today.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And I like to write small, so like the book can get nice and old and like get worn in on the sides. Like, you see that it's used, It's good like that. It makes it feels like it's yours, The more time you spend with it, it's like, this is mine. This is cool. Try it. Try it. It's if you haven't done it before, it might be the thing that's like, okay. And whatever it is, make your own system in it. Like, I have a way of writing, one thing on each line. I just like to put down like the, September 27th, and just underline it in the top right, and then just keep writing, and then put another date once I'm on the next day. I don't have, like, it's just lines. Like, this has no formatting in it, except like, just, I don't know if you can see that, just lines, right? That's all it is. Just no, not even margins. It doesn't even have margins. It's just like straight lines across, and they're not too big. You can fit a lot in there if you write on each line. I even got it engraved with like the company like motto, like Adaptec, software that defies convention, right? And we used to give those out at meetups long ago. I still have like maybe 2 or 3. They'll get you one if you're ever in Vancouver. I screwed up the focus.
Well, I want to go there after I came from Spain, Vancouver. My girlfriend loves to travel. So
yeah?
We wouldn't.
Yeah, most people like to travel. What the hell's wrong with this focus? I really gotta like find a better. See, that's the thing. Don't cheap out on shit. This is like a friggin' thing I got on Amazon. I gotta put something real in front of this thing. I don't know why I thought this was good enough.
An iPhone. Just get an iPhone.
Oh, fuck that. I don't want a phone on here anyway. I could use my phone, and I think I did for when I didn't have a camera here. It worked really well. But I don't want to use my phone for a camera.
Why not?
I like to use my phone for, like, I don't know, like the preview of the stream. See, like the preview on there.
Get a phone then.
I don't want that. A camera would be good. Like,
I've been thinking about switching phone just to keep this one for streaming only, like a rather video camera.
Well,
because it's so good compared to like a high tech like camera, whatever you call it.
Well, get one of these foldable ones. They're fun. I'm not sure if the latest Samsung's better. I think if you don't use a stylus, I use a stylus, so I like the fact that this has a stylus that I can put in, but so I can write on there. Actually, I should have used that. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and does Draw.io have a collaboration thing where you can share the file to a server and I can draw it on my phone, but it'll show up on the browser here too.
I don't know. I think they have a cloud version.
I think they do, and I should try that because fuck man, I hate not drawing with a pen. So I mean that's why I have this notebook and stuff. But anyway,
Oh,
you know what? You're gonna have to give me your
that.
you're gonna give me your mailing address. I'm gonna get you one of these, just so you have an Adaptec one, nice and orange.
I like that idea.
I'll mail you a gift. All right, I'm all blurry, which means camera is sleepy, and I'm sure you're sleepy too by now. 1 a.m.
I drank way too much coffee today, so.
Did you? Oh, I had that problem too. Drinking too much caffeine and not sleeping.
My girlfriend today, I cannot afford caffeine anymore. I think my body just.
It's giving up on you.
It's overreacting. Right now. All right, Adam. Let's link up later another day. So
well, I'm gonna be on tomorrow. I didn't do enough coding today, so I'm gonna jump in again tomorrow. But it's fun talking to you. It was good, man. Thanks for yeah, man. This is no more upcasters. Thanks, Yurtis. Oh no, yeah, you have. You have. It's been good. All right, man. Have a good night. Get some sleep. We'll talk to you tomorrow or whenever.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. All right. So that was Yordis, who's doing a lot of awesome stuff. I'd like to work with him again. But I'm going to call it a night here. Don't forget about the workshop and the conference. Let me see if I can just quickly show that on screen here. And so what do we have here? We go to here. So if we go up here to adaptedgroup.com, let's make this a little bigger. And just go in here. So how you get to the workshop, this is our guys here. Oh, there it is, the workshop. So I guess at the top, if you're on mobile, this will have a little hamburger menu. You just click on workshops, and here you have all the stuff, all the instructors and special guests. More guests are coming. We got probably gonna get Yurtis in here as well, but we have some people from even Axon IQ, Lightbend. We've got Bobby is going to be in town too, and of course I talked about one of the amazing people here, Dave Thomas, is going to be here. One of the contributors to the Agile Manifesto. So awesome for him to be here in person. Ryan Singer obviously worked with DHH on the Ruby on Rails stuff. He wrote Shape Up, and that's got a really nice home for event modeling right in the middle of the first step of Shape Up and shaping your work. Of course, he is known for contributions to and strategy at 37 Signals and Basecamp. So wow. Of course, Arian has his own framework which focuses on the problem exploration space. Martin has done a ton of stuff making Miro usable for event modeling. Amazing folks, and more to come. So yeah, make sure you register. Conference is only 49 Canadian dollars, incredibly cheap. That just keeps the people that are want to book but then not show up. It's if the price is an issue of $49 and you really want to go, I'm not gonna kick you out, but I want $49 to keep people that register for things and never show up out. So if you really have a financial concern, message me. I'll make arrangements for you to be there. It's not going to be a problem. So anyway, JP has joined us recently. He's an amazing developer known across the world, but here in Canada especially, he's from Calgary. He is one of the most successful developers ever that I've ever met. And of course, our guys, the folks below here, are going to be instructors as well, but more guests to arrive to be announced, and then the full schedule is probably going to be out within the next couple of days. So I hope that I hope you join us in September, but I'll be back doing more streams here tomorrow to finish up some of the projects, because the project I'm working on is going to be used for organizing the open spaces part, so that'll be fun. We can of course contribute and do pull requests and then use it as a test project for testing out event modeling, testing out event sourcing, and of course see how it runs behind the scenes. So I'll see you tomorrow. This is a very long stream. Maybe I'll get someone to chop it up into parts and have it as individual videos. So anyway, for those that have stuck around, thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe in 10 hours or something like that. So have a great night. See you all.